This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
A warm welcome to all our viewers. We're here at andBeyond in Ngala and we're looking at a lioness that's lying down in the shade of reeds inside the Timbavati riverbed. So I'd like to encourage all our viewers, please come join us on this live drive here in the African bush. I'm Nikki, I'm going to be your ranger for this afternoon on the drive, and with me on the camera is BK. It's incredible how this morning we had quite a bit of rain, or not a lot of rain, but it was overcast and there was quite a nice breeze blowing through and it was really cold. But this afternoon is quite a warm afternoon, and you can see this lioness just sleeping in the shade. There's actually more lions behind us, but it's hard to see them. They're also lying down under some reeds, and a few of them under the palm trees, which you'll see just here behind us. We might be able to see them. Maybe there's a chance that we... Let me just introduce myself. I'm Nikki. I'm the ranger. BK just said to me, just introduce yourself, and this is BK on the camera. Just wanted to focus on these lions right over here that's lying down in the shade. You can even see there's one of the white lions just behind this one. It's very hard to see with the sun as well as the reflection off the sand. But I do know they're not going to be doing too much this afternoon, because you can imagine being so warm, there's no need for them to move. They'll conserve a bit more energy until later on this evening when it cools down, and they'll start moving. But there might be some more cloud cover. You'll see right in front of us here in the river, there's quite a bit of clouds moving over us now, so who knows, maybe that will help to cool down this afternoon. But let's just go back to this lioness in the riverbed here. She's now lowered her head, and she's actually quite in a nice channel. You can see the reeds moving right in front of her, so there's a nice breeze that's blowing through this area. Probably why she's here, not lying down where the others are. And just judging by her appearance, like the size of her head, also looking at possibly scars and the color of the nose, she's one of the younger lionesses within this pride. And imagine just her in 2-3 years' time from now, how big she would be, because she's already quite a decent size. In the meantime, while we're going to watch these lions, let's head across to Phinda for the introduction.
Good afternoon and welcome to our very own lion pride here at Phinda Private Game Reserve. Our lions are not so much lounging around. They have managed to catch themselves a young warthog piglet. The dominant cub is busy feeding on it now. We can see he's the second cub in the row from where we're sitting. He's busy making short work of the small meal. It's only really a meal for one cub, I think. And being the biggest, he's managed to take it all for himself, which is quite cheeky, but quite often what happens with lions. My name's Devon. Behind the camera we've got Owen, and we're coming to you from Phinda Private Game Reserve this afternoon. And really lucky to find these lions. We actually about a stone's throw from the lodge where we left from, and we were just as we were leaving there, one was walking across the road. So very, very lucky, and an awesome way to start the afternoon drive. There are two cubs a little bit further. Oh, listen to that. His brother, I think, is angling in for a piece of the pie and not having any of it. Very low grumbling noise that's happening now. So already at this age, over carcasses, these cubs will be very possessive and very protective. Lions are obviously social animals and best of friends for most of the time, until it comes to mealtime. Then they're not quite best friends. Then there's lots of growling and snarling, and it's quite funny. On the front of the picture here you can see those two growling at each other and eating, and at the back they're the two that are playing around and being very friendly with each other. But how lions are. I think we are going to leave these lions to carry on feeding here. I'm quite keen to cover a little bit of ground. There have been some elephants in the south of the reserve today, which I'm really excited to go look for. So we're going to go across to Lauren, and we'll see you guys hopefully with the elephants a little bit later.
Well, luckily, I have already found some elephants. Now, we're looking at a bit of a bum view because there's a little youngster that we're trying to get to let you see, who's already got a massive hole in his ear. My name is Lauren. I do have Davi once again on camera, and the weather has cleared up a little. I'm not sure if I can show you, but there's blue sky. Would you look at that? Blue sky. I'm not sure how long it'll be visible for, but it's there. There's a break in the cloud coverage, and there's more ambient light, and there's no rain, which is just fabulous. So if you look at this little youngster's left ear, oh no, my apologies, his right ear, you can see there's actually quite a large hole already. Now, elephants' ears, as you all know, act as a sort of cooling mechanism. That much is obvious. But they have to be paper thin in order to do that. So at the top, there's a little bit of cartilage, just like what we have in our ears, which is flexible and is very light. It's not as dense as bone. And the rest of the ears is just really thin skin, and that's how you can see all the networks of capillaries and veins, and that's actually how they lose the heat, because the skin is so thin. So what that ultimately means is they get torn very, very easily on thorns and branches and anything that's maybe sticking out. And this poor little one clearly has made a hole in his ear somehow. Maybe he was wearing earrings, who knows? Maybe that's fashionable these days. But it's very, very common to see elephants with holes in their ears and torn ears and floppy ears, because they are really delicate. Although they're large, they're extremely delicate. And they have to be. If the skin was any thicker, it wouldn't be as efficient at losing heat. And it's said to lose about 75% of the elephant's body heat, or take 75% of the body heat away. Now that's a lot, so they rely heavily on them. But if an elephant's ear has flopped over, if there's been some damage to the cartilage, then that could be problematic, because that could essentially mean that the elephant can't quite flap the way it needs to, and therefore maybe it won't be able to lose as much heat as it should. There's other ways to lose heat, of course, but the ears is the big one. They constitute 20% of an elephant's surface area. Can you hear it crunking through all the branches? Jason, do we know for sure that they do have great memories? I am not so sure if that's ever been proven. I think maybe we can go forward and get some better views of this youngster. I think most animals or organisms, oh wait, they're coming this way now, Davi, they've changed their direction, would have good memories. Now they have to be able to recognize individuals in their herd. They have to be able to recognize mother, relatives, all through scent, perhaps not visual, perhaps it's all through scent and sort of vocal communications. Maybe they recognize audio, maybe they recognize scent. Elephants are said to have not the greatest eyesight, they're slightly short-sighted. So before you need to recognize your enemy, you need to be able to recognize your own. Those that are around you, those in the herd. Then you need to understand who the enemies are. Lions, maybe hyenas, any predators out here. Then you've got to understand and learn, as you grow as an elephant, how to navigate the landscape, how to feed, what to eat, what not to eat, how to drink, how to use that trunk. So I think most organisms would have a good memory because they've got to be able to learn all that knowledge and retain it. Even if you're a tick, an eyeless tick that can't see, you've still got to understand how to be a tick. Know exactly what to latch onto and when to latch onto and how to drink blood and then when to reproduce. So I think elephants absolutely will have a good memory, but I think most animals will. Okay, we are going to just check out Treehouse Dam to see if there's any more elephants bathing at the dam.
Welcome back, everyone. We've shifted position a little bit and really got a very clear view into exactly what's happening with this young male. So you can see how he's using his paw to hold the warthog down while he's using his mouth to pull the meat off of it. There's quite a lot of blood along his forearm there. And around his mouth, there's a lot of licking that's going on. You can see he's really licking that, getting all the meat and juice out there. A minute or two ago, he had the whole inside. Oh, there we go. We're getting a glimpse again. The whole inside of the warthog's stomach. It was just dangling in the air, which was really quite something to see. His whiskers are covered in that's a pretty raw sight. It's just the back of the warthog left. You can see how little it was. It's really not much of a meal for more than one cub anyway. One cub, it's nice size. We are going to be leaving these lions now. They're quite nice and comfy in the shade here. I think the rest of the pride is just going to carry on sleeping. Mom's at the back lying down. So we're going to carry on looking for our elephants. But I'm really glad we found these guys nice and early on. We'll be back with you a little bit later.
We've just moved the vehicle around to the other side of the reeds, and we are having a look at the young white male and possibly his brother that are lying down close together. There's some more lions in the back, but look at how he's maneuvered himself onto his back. It must be a lot more comfortable than lying down on the side. Even with this brother, you can see the sun is slowly creeping in on him, so it might not be too long. It looks like he is starting to pant before he eventually gets up and starts moving into some thicker shade. But just based on the behavior, they're not going to head anywhere pretty soon. Like, I mean, lions, we've had a discussion quite a few times already, but they are very lazy animals, and they can sleep up to 20 hours a day. Now, with these lions, having something to eat over the last 2 days, maybe their bellies aren't as full as you would expect after a big meal, but they had something at least to eat. You can see there's a bit of a bulge in this one's stomach. So there's no need for them to really move in the heat of the day unless something had to move right here into the river. So it will only be later on this afternoon, maybe in the next 3-4 hours, when these lions are eventually going to get up and start moving. So we are going to spend a bit of time here with them, but after that we'll probably head off and see if we can get some elephants in the area, possibly even buffaloes, and maybe later on give an opportunity for wild dogs. But in the meantime, with these lions, as you can see here, very relaxed in the heat of the day, just moving into shade. And what they'll do is, as the sun is moving around and it casts the shade because of that palm tree and the reeds, they'll just maneuver around in the shade the whole time. And there's some more lions on this side that we wanted to point out. So we're basically in between this pride. So there's more reeds here in the riverbed. And if you look right down there, you'll see the white of the one's belly as it's lying down on its back, with the foot up into the air. They look so comfortable at the moment. And I mean, if you had to move past this riverbed and that one wasn't lying down where it was, it would be almost impossible to see these lions. Except with this one, you can see the white amongst the greenery, which really stands out. You know, it depends, because some of the older lionesses within the pride is over 14 years old, and some of the younger ones now, I mean, the one female that had the 2 young cubs that are now close to, or no longer cubs, like almost subadults now, she's just over 4 years old. And then these other lionesses that are over 2 years, and then of course the young white lioness that's over a year and a bit old. So I mean, it varies. There's you have all the way from just over a year, and even younger. I mean, look at those youngsters that are now born. So you have anywhere from a couple of months all the way up to 4+ years. So there's a really diverse age group with this pride. What we'll do is let's head back to these lands on this side, because I think the view on them is just slightly better. In the meantime, we'll probably leave these lines for now. Maybe later on come back, see if they will start moving. But let's head across to Andrew for his introduction.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve here in Sabi. We're actually in Lawfield. We got an impalas here where they actually mixed up with, looks like a few kudu as well. As you can see, one of the male over here. We sometimes not often see male, but we do have them. They're so sometimes Yiddish to stick around for us. It's so cool that, able to see one of the 2 antelope that they actually mixed up, which they actually love to be together. My name is Andrew on camera. I have Simon again this afternoon. We came to this actually far north, hoping to see if there is a any activity around this waterhole here. Of course, we had a lot of impalas all gathering around, doing their best, or feeding, pushing one another, and they're all happy, I think. They have kudu, which kudu? They're one of the intelligent antelopes. They're very good on scanning around. They can pick up sound very well because they have big ears as well. There's a female there. So yeah, the temperature for today is 27 degrees Celsius, 80 Fahrenheit. That's where we stand right now. It's actually some cloud, some part of the area. Part of the area, it's quite blue sky, which is, I think it's going to be just like this the whole entire drive, I believe so. So everyone, we're coming to you live from this area and other few locations as well. We'd like to hear from you by communicating with you. You can still talk to us on under the age. You can use kids questions at WildEarth.tv. Also adult, you still go to Twitter, #WildEarth. Also on YouTube channel, which is at FC. And also WildEarth.tv. But also, you can go to our WildEarth website and sign up. And then from there, you go to a live Safari page. And then from there, you can able to submit your question and comment. We would like to hear from you while we're out here. It's such a beautiful scenery. So I'm going to check around, and while I'm doing that, I'm going to be sending you to a mic with the swimming elephant.
It's a lazy waterhole type of afternoon. These elephants are making the most of the fact that all the wind is gone and the temperature is shot back up. Nice and warm and humid. Perfect time to cool off in the waterhole. And you know what? Watching them do that is actually making me feel kind of like this is a lazy afternoon. As you can see, really loving it. Hi everyone, my name's Mike Anderson, behind the camera is Gert, and you've joined us at Eco Training Pridelands Conservancy, where as always, or as usual I should say, the elephants are swimming in Ndlovu Dam right next to our camp, which is fantastic. We've got some students that are arriving soon, and they're going to be able to enjoy this view as you all are and have been for weeks and weeks. Love watching how they've paired off more or less into little wrestling groups. Well, some are wrestling, some are just doing, I don't even know what, some of salt backflip breakdance fighting, I guess. But all of them have been in the waterhole. These particular elephants, some of the bulls, have been in the waterhole for over an hour now, and there's been a constant stream of elephants since about midday, I'd say. They haven't stopped coming, and we didn't really see many elephants at the waterhole the last few days. Maybe one or two groups here and there, but I think we're getting back to that trend of seeing the elephants here the whole day. And it's not just bulls. We've also had a couple of herds come down. There's one elephant that's just behind where you can see Ichard with the camera, I'm sure. It's picking up a stick and it's just flipping it up and down over there in the back corner there. I don't know if you can see that elephant past the leadwood there. Ah, no, he's behind the tree. He's got a stick and he's throwing it up and down like a toy. It's the elephant with no tail. There's two elephants here with no tails. There's one. See, he's got the stick there. Now you can see him, Gert. He's like literally grabbing the stick and throwing it around. He's having the best time with his new toy. And it's not just this young elephant that's doing it. Earlier today, there was a very old elephant bull that picked up a much larger log in the water and was just moving it around in the water and lifting it up and putting it down. I think just investigating it. It was like a... He just throw it over his head. He's having such a good time. So this is just playful behavior. There's absolutely no other way to describe it. I don't know what it's trying to achieve. I think it's got the zoomies. That's actually pretty impressive. It reminds me of when we saw those bullfrogs fighting. They kept flipping each other over their heads like that. So I wonder if elephants also get that thing that, if you've ever had a pet cat or a dog, they get something that we just always used to call the zoomies, where they just all of a sudden have so much energy and they just run back and forth uncontrollably. I wonder if that's what's happening to this young elephant bull right now. Now he's chasing it. He's chasing the stick in the water. Oh. Oh, what have you done? Pancake, you're absolutely right. In absence of all of us not being able to go to the beach at the moment, the elephants are showing us just how to fully appreciate it once we are able to go back again. Hopefully not too long, because I tell you what, I'm very tempted to go and get in that water. I mean, as dirty and muddy as it is, that just looks like so much fun. Well, the rain that came the last few days luckily didn't rain too much on Pride lands, a little bit just to keep the dust down and keep the grass nice and green. But in the northern part of Kruger, over 160 millimeters of rain fell. That is, what is that? 6 inches of rain. That's, or more than 6 inches of rain. It's an incredible amount. If that much rain had fallen, this waterhole would have been completely overflowing. So the elephants right now walking, where we can just see their backs, they would have been underwater. That's how deep this waterhole would have been. So we're actually quite glad, especially because our camp will most likely be very soggy if that were the case. It seems like some of the elephants are starting to leave the water. It might be that there's some communication that's happened where the matriarch or the oldest elephant bull or someone has just said it's time to go, and so the elephants are going to start making their way out of the water potentially. I don't think they'll go far. It's very humid and there's plenty of green grass everywhere, so they probably just feed around in the local area, maybe over at zebra clearings, which is where we've been seeing a lot of young elephant bulls feeding the last few days. See, the one bull is actually quite a bit larger than the others. It's actually so soothing as well. Just the sound of them splashing. Well, whilst these elephants decide whether they want to come or go, let's go and say hello to Tswalu.
Definitely postcard stuff. So beautiful and so diverse. And what a spot to say good afternoon to everybody from Tswalu Kalahari. My name is Carl and behind camera is Craig. Thanks very much for joining us. And what a beautiful spot this is to do our intro. We are heading south and we are going to be focusing this afternoon here at Tswalu. We are going to be focusing on all the little things. As we are driving now with a little bit of sun that's peeking between the clouds, the temperature is spiking and obviously the humidity factor is starting to increase with a little bit of moisture, well, the lot of moisture that is sitting in the soil. The humidity's gone up and now insect activity has just started to boom. And as myself and Craig are driving, you just see so much tiny little life in my mouth as well, moving in between all this grass that we have at the moment. And from this spot you can really see the true essence of Tswalu. It is just super beautiful. Like I said from this morning, clouds definitely make the picture just more beautiful. Desmond, yeah, nice and quiet. We really appreciate that here. In Wild and Game Drive, we can go maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. We also do silent drives. Get in the vehicle and just drive. No talking and just tapping into all the beautiful sounds that are around us. See it. Okay, just watch this, folks. Watch this. That's a fawn-coloured lark. Sorry. Craig's got us a fawn-coloured lark over there. Beautiful bird, but there was a bird displaying and calling above us called an eastern clapper lark.
I won't be able to point up that high.
Yeah, it's very hard. They're quite high at the moment, and so to get them is literally a needle in the haystack. But look at that cloud cover and that in front of us. Yo. Absolutely delicious. So you can see the density of these clouds. They're definitely holding quite a lot of moisture. So if the wind blows in our favor, hopefully they condense and we get some more rain early this evening. That would just be lovely. The amount of rain that we've received already, we are very, very grateful for. And you can see from the greenness at the moment, everything is just busting at the seams. So from here, we're going to go a little bit further east along this road. And what we're going to do is stop the vehicle and we're going to start scratching around about maybe 20, 30 meters around the vehicle, see what we can find. So in between all this lovely, lush grass, this is where we're going to be scratching around. All right, so while we head off this way, we're going to send you over to Lauren, where she's got a very interesting little beetle.
Talking of little things, we are watching a little thing. Oh! What just happened there? This is fresh. Very fresh, and this beetle is very hard at work. He's rolling a rolling. Ecologically important. Oh my goodness me. That is our wonderful Eastern channel. Such a delight. Extremely ecologically important organism. Because of course, dung beetles themselves actually bury. So by doing all the work and sifting through the dung and creating these balls, they're actually burying, and they can bury 1 metric ton of dung per hectare per year. Now that's an incredible amount. And what that allows for is the removal of waste from above ground to the underground. And that assists in the nutrient cycle as well as the removal of waste. And it can, believe it or not, destroy any sort of eggs of internal parasites that are lying in the dung, or that came out with the dung, should I say. And it will bury them underground. So this is getting rid of them, if you like. And by sifting through the dung, they're also helping to reduce the population of pest species such as flies. Look at those flies already on the dung. We did a wonderful segment on house flies not so long ago, so I won't put you through that again. But they're basically assisting, and more than assisting, they're actually promoting the nutrient cycle, one of the fundamental cycles of life, where this environment could not survive without it. And I guess, inadvertently, they're facilitating the germination of some seeds that are caught up in the dung as well. There's all the wonderful sort of ecosystem services that these tiny little beetles are doing. Sometimes we get it a bit wrong, but we keep going. And of course, it's almost like they're doing a handstand the entire time, defying gravity and using those hind legs. So propelling themselves up in their forelegs and using those hind legs to create the ball. You can actually roll balls that are on average 50 times heavier than themselves. Dung beetles are actually quite light, and the more you compact the dung, it becomes heavier and heavier and denser and denser. And they've actually been known to create balls up to 80 times heavier than themselves. 80 times. Now they don't lift them, but they do roll them. And that's just remarkable. You see them flying. At night time, you've got to be very careful that you don't get a dung beetle in the eye. It's very painful. But they will fly, and they'll use their keen chemoreceptors to navigate their way to the next pile of dung. Ian, is this your first dung beetle of the year? Fabulous. They've actually been around for quite some time. But I'm really happy this is your first one. And it's a very hard-working one at that. You see, they just pull off fresh dung, add it to the ball, compact it, roll it, add it, compact it, roll it. There's a nice little method there. Oh my goodness. He's pushing over the entire lump. That can be easy. Have you ever tried to use those balls at the gym? I don't actually know what they're for. Those big balls, they're supposed to work your abs or something along those lines. That's what I look like when I'm using one of those balls. So I can only imagine how the dung beetle feels. And there's competition as well. It's best that you get the freshest pile of dung first. You want to get there before the others come so you can get the best part of the dung and start rolling. Susie, you're asking, do we get Goliath beetles in Africa? I must say, I have actually never seen one out here in the Lowveld, but I'm just going to check their distribution for you. They are humongous beetles. I have seen them. Well, the name Goliath does suggest that they're huge. They would probably take up my entire hand. But I'm not actually sure of their distribution. Bear with me. I'm going to check this for you right now. So they can be found in many of Africa's tropical forests. So they feed on tree sap and fruit. So I wonder if it's not the right environment for them out here. But they can be found on this continent. Tropical and subtropical rainforests in Southeast Africa. So no, I don't think they would be found out here. It's not tropical or subtropical. But I would really like to see one. I'm not sure if I'd like to be hit in the face with one of them. They are extremely large beetles. They're a type of scarab beetle. Okay, so I'm going to have to drive very carefully here to make sure I don't destroy any of this dung. And for now, we're going to send you across to Mike.
Sorry, Pride Lanes, about that. So we now traveling further northwards to check a few of the pens, hoping for anything like the wild dogs. I know there's a trace wild dog yesterday in this area, where I believe this morning was nothing discovered. So could it be that they couldn't pick up any of their tracks, or could it be that nobody have work around here? So we're gonna check around. Remember, wild dogs, they are day animals. They run sometimes all day long when they can, and this is when they hunt. So they're always full of energy to run. and the actually successful rate is actually quite level enough for them to, they feed very well because they kill quite often in packs. So this is why we came this far north into Beverly, deep in north. So it could be that maybe it's a packs of those dogs that we always see around here, or there is a different one. If it's a Pungwe packs, which those are the ones that we always see when we talk about wild dogs coming into the area. One with a collar, but I didn't confirm because nobody find them. They only saw the tracks. So it could be them. There's plenty of now, a lot of young impalas, those young kudus, and wherever they are, probably have already eaten and then just take it easy. I don't know if they have moved maybe to the north, across the border into Manyeleti, where they always stay around there. They might actually have already hunt and kill, eat, and now probably in shade, where it's not actually always hot here. All the time it's all covered with cloud, but now it's open. Oh, here's Ellie. Good. Elephant. Right here. So, we'll look for a dog. We find bull, elephant. He's actually on mast, where he's dripping all the time, but I haven't smelled that because the wind's pushing over to him. But it is a decent bull there. He's got one of the tusks that actually broken. Only left with one tusk. Just a little bit of a stompy over it. Just stick out there. The remain of the one that just break off. So now his job is to walk around where the female has been. And then there, it's actually a little bit of a water. Just gonna see if he's gonna take a drink or he's gonna play with his mud, suck this mud and then spray himself. He's probably actually done it quite a lot of time during the day. Some part is wet. Doing it exactly. Well, it's so important when it does that because some other place where they behind him was another tail. It's actually always working on getting rid of flies and things, but not everywhere. So it's so important when they pour mud over their body, plaster. Actually, so no, you want to know if the elephant's tuskers fell off due to their older age. No, this is actually, they don't fall off just like that. Usually during a fight, two bulls fight, or even a female sometimes when they push trees, they do mistake happen there, and then it just break off. For that reason, they won't grow back. But for the male, also won't grow back. But for the male, it's actually very common that they break their tusk because of fight between the male. And they use them quite often for that reason. Where female, they fight less or not need or love one another in a group, but it's only self-defense as a weapon they got, tusks. From the age older age now, those tusks weren't gonna just fall off. It's so strong actually, because it's a solid bone from that animal. They will just help him listen a little bit. Because this is a way now you'll find out where the other females are, by walking and stop, listen for any of a communication from the other partner, friends, female. I'm gonna turn around, try stick with them. Let's go into another little pen there. Well, he's probably actually have a lot of move. No matter where you come from, doesn't matter, but you would continually move until he got what he need. But the main key now is to find a female. The female that he would have found in the group gotta be female that she comes on heat, that he would actually pick it up there and focus on her so much, reproductive take place. Just gonna give him a chance, so since he's moving slowly into that water hole. Dave, so you want to know what's the difference between Sabi Sands and Djuma? So Sabi Sands, it's a whole umbrella of game reserve, where it's a lot of different lodges, over 40 different private lodges within that. And then it's about 65,000 hectares of a reserve. And then that's where you got all of Djumas in here. But Djuma is actually pretty much in the northern western end of Sabi Sands Game Reserve. So in terms of terrain, the sceneries, you know, it's not different. All the same type of trees all through the reserves. Drainage lines over there. When you talk about animal population, still apply the same with this area as well. So I'm going to see if I can follow him, otherwise I'm going to look for something else with my dogs while I'm sending you over to Mike.
Hello everyone. So we were just waiting for more elephants to arrive. They've been coming and going. At the moment there's none. And I saw this flower, and it's a flower that's quite common. We see it at summertime blooming all the time, and it's a wild foxglove, or one of the wild foxgloves, although it's not the same as the European foxglove. It's a very different family. It's actually more closely related to the sesame. So this is called Ceratotheca triloba, I think that's the name. And the triloba part of the scientific name is to do with these leaves here. Can you see how it's got 3 lobes? It's got the one that my thumb is holding and the 2 other lobes there. So that's the 3 lobes of this plant that gives it that scientific name. And it's a beautiful flower. It's either going to be white or it's going to be this pinky purple mauve, I suppose is the term, color, with these bright stripes on the underside there. Now these are very interesting because that actually attracts bees and other insects to land on this and go up there to get to the nectar or the sweet sugary substance that attracts them, that brings them there. And then in doing so they collect pollen on their fluffy little bee bodies, and when they fly off to other flowers they then pollinate those flowers. Now there are other uses of this plant, okay? So as you can see, it's growing quite tall. This is about as tall as they grow, about 1.5 meters this one is, because I'm standing a bit lower than it. And one of the uses is in traditional parts of Africa, where supermarkets are not readily available, that kind of stuff, people find greens in different ways. So this can be used as a spinach. You can pluck these leaves, and now when you pluck the leaf, it actually has not a very great smell. It's quite a soury kind of smell, but when you cook it, apparently that smell goes away, and it can be used as a spinach. So it's not super nutritious, but it's very edible. So that's one way that gets used. And now, so that's a traditional use, but there's not too many pharmaceutical studies on this particular plant. And one of the studies, I can't remember the name of this chemical, anthraquinone or something like that. Apparently, it's indicated to have that chemical compound in it, which is very similar to many of the drugs that are used to treat different types of cancer. So there's a real hope that someone can get the funding or can motivate someone to study this plant, because there's opportunities that can really help in treating all sorts of different types of cancer. And this plant is native to this part of Africa, so it would be a really cool thing to find if this plant is able to produce that. But it grows mostly on disturbed areas. This being old farmland, as you know, many of the areas are not pristine. They're getting back to pristine. So you'll find these plants often growing on disturbed areas, especially where the soil is quite thick and clay-like, which is exactly what we find close to Ndlovu Dam, where we are right now. But yeah, wild foxglove is a common name. Not like the European foxglove, more like a sesame, which we also have sesames here. That's pretty cool. It's a great time of year for the flowers. As you can see, there's little yellow low-felt buttercups all around here, little pink ones everywhere. So what I'll do is, if I see more flowers, I'll definitely point them out to you.
Has it just pretended to be dead? Oh, that was amazing. I can't. How do I? It's like that is hands down the coolest.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily. For the month of January 2021, we are offering a chance to win a unique WildEarth expedition to the magnificent Tswalu Kalahari. From the ancient Kortai's Koranenberg Mountains to the southern Kalahari's red sand dunes, Tswalu offers what travelers crave most: space and time. The winner will explore this landscape in a vehicle, on foot, or on horseback, with a chance to go behind the scenes with WildEarth and of course meet the meerkats. The prize includes a 3-night stay for you and a friend at the luxury Motse Lodge, including flights from either Johannesburg or Cape Town. Open to all WildEarth explorers who have signed up before the end of January 2021. Terms and conditions apply.
Why is the Mara special? It's one of the only few places that you can find the annual wildebeest migration. I will still go for the lion. The main reason is a sign of royalty, leadership in my tribe, and apart from that, over here, it is feared by all but loved by everyone.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth.
Now, we can't seem to get anywhere today without bumping into elephants. There's a huge herd blocking the way on the southern boundary. Youngsters, adults, and they're clearly enjoying just tearing up all the vegetation. We might be able to follow them for a little bit. And of course, we've got our rain roof on, which really doesn't make it easy to view animals. I'm not sure we're going to get any rain, but I think it was a good option that we managed to keep it on. Oh, would you look at that? You have positioned yourself so perfectly there that you have a pole in your face. I'm hesitant to turn my car on right now, though there was another vehicle that I think possibly has irritated them a little bit. So we're just going to work with the beautiful pole shot that we have. You gotta love it. Every single animal out here will position themselves right where the pole is. Happy elephants. They've had rain, they've had moisture, joy, the vegetation's lush, everything's great. Oh, it appears like I'm not the only one with elephants today. We're going to send you over to some more at Phinda.
Welcome back to andBeyond Phinda, everyone. We also have some elephants over here. The herd that was in the south this morning is kind of scattered out. They're a little bit all over the show. And we're just sitting with two that were out in the open. They crossed the road in front of us and they've now started feeding on this tree. There's some sour plums in the front that we can see there, little orange berry looking things, but these two elephants have got their trunks high up in a tree and they're just pulling, if I'm not mistaken, I think they're pulling little bits of elephant pudding out of the tree. There's a creeper that grows on a lot of the trees that we get here at Phinda, and it's called elephant's pudding. You can, I suppose, go figure that elephants enjoy eating it. And I think this is two females. One's quite a lot larger than the other. You can see the head of the larger one coming into view now. She's just reaching over up into the tree and breaking little branches off and taking the leaves. You can see her really nicely from this angle, actually. She's just grabbing the really juicy leaves that are maybe new shoots on the end of the branches and eating them. So there we can see the little sour plums right in front of them. They're actually really delicious little plums. They, like the name suggests, quite sour. Oh, she's really pulling down this tree now. And you can really see it. She's giving us a nice view into her mouth as she feeds. So these elephants haven't been south for a little while now in such large numbers, and we've been having quite a lot of rain. So I imagine all the trees and grasses are just that little bit extra juicy and luscious at the moment, and a little bit more tasty than they would have been the last time the herds were down this side. The larger female does look like she might be wanting to reach up a little bit higher into the tree, and how elephants will do that. Oh, she's pushing. She's going to push the tree right over. You can really just see how amazing is that, how strong elephants are. That's a good 4 meter, maybe even 5 meter tall tree, and she's just, you can see she'll rock forwards and backwards until it just gives in, using her trunk. That is incredible. Just really a display of how powerful these animals are. And over she goes. That tree has been pulled up at the roots. It's kind of, you can just see some of the exposed red roots that are sticking through the bush there. She's pushed that tree over. Now, elephants will often do that to get to the leaves a little bit higher up on the tree that they wouldn't otherwise be able to reach. We'll yet to see if she decides to walk around and feed on some of those leaves. Otherwise, she does look like she's just maybe moving off and leaving it be. She's coming around here now. Yeah, it was unbelievably easy, hey? Almost effortless. She just gave it a little rock, backwards, forwards, and over the tree went. I don't know if you've ever tried pushing over a tree, but I can promise you it won't be as easy as that. No, elephants are unbelievably strong. They're really heavy as well, so they've got a lot of momentum when they do start pushing. And yeah, you can see really nicely. You can see it's a perfect example of how, look, that young one's trying to practice pushing the tree over now. Oh, it just leant its trunk on the base of the tree. But you can, yeah, as I was saying, you see, there's a perfect example of how elephants will push a tree over, and now they can suddenly reach all those leaves that were completely out of reach. Those leaves were probably about, we're just gonna, no, we won't have to move forward. So a young bull, it looks like, almost decided to make a nuisance of himself, and then he decided that it would actually be better, maybe more worthwhile, worth his time to go get the juicy leaves at the top. So those leaves at the top that they're feeding on now, those will even have been out of reach of animals like giraffe, who can also reach up really high to eat the lush leaves that no one else can get to. But these elephants have long learned that they can just push trees over and get the leaves that are otherwise out of reach. This tree might not die completely. Ram elephants can get all the way up to about 60 years old, 50, 60, and their teeth often wear out. I know there's old stories that I used to listen to as a kid about elephants dying because they would get so old that their teeth would just disintegrate completely. Apparently, older bulls just feed on grasses more than any other plant material, so these elephants are now eating lots of leaves and lots of branches. They say older bulls eat predominantly grass because that's easier to chew, and that elephants will die eventually of starvation because they can't feed anymore. There are obviously a lot of other things that could happen to them along the way before they get to that age, though. This young bull now pulling, making the most of the help that he got from that larger female. I'm not sure he would have been able to push this tree over by himself. Gave it a little push as he came past, but he's much lighter, and then much less momentum behind him. So you can see they haven't eaten all the leaves off of this tree. There's still lots and lots of leaves left there for the taking. There's some that are even now going to be low enough for other browsers like Ngala and maybe kudu to come past and browse on. I'm sure we'll see, if you had to sit here for the next few days, I'm sure you'd see them coming past and having a browse on this tree. All these beautiful leaves now available to them that weren't previously there. But these elephants are moving off. Hopefully this tree won't die. They often do leave some roots connected at the base, and you often see trees that are, I mean, this tree hasn't quite fallen over completely, but trees leaning at this angle and sometimes even greater angles that have been pushed that are still managing to survive. It's quite an amazing adaptation by trees. These three animals that we have here are now kind of walking slowly into the background. We're looking towards quite a rocky ridge in front of us here. And they'll be probably ducking over the mountain to the other side, or over the hill rather, I should say. I know that there were some other elephants on the other side of the ridge there a little while ago, so maybe they're slowly going to be joining up with them. They've come from an area behind us, which is really thick. Let me try reverse a little bit and see if we can get another view of these guys before they really go over the ridge completely. Oh, no, they're going. Can just see that one now. Slightly trailing behind. I think this is the individual that pushed the tree over. We'll loop around and carry on exploring this area and seeing if we can find any other elephants that are maybe a little bit closer to the road or walking towards us, so we can get a little bit of a better view. For now, though, we're going to cross over to Lauren and go have a look what she's found.
Now we're actually scratching around for Shudulu. There are rumors she has crossed into Djuma this morning. So we are just going to scratch around and see if we can find her. At least we know roughly Shudulu's movements. She's not really going to go past quarantine, generally speaking. She's more on the western side. And I also had a look for Klalamba that Andrew found this morning on a kill. Gone. Klalamba gone, kill gone. So I don't know whether she dropped it, lost it, and then disappeared. I have no idea. So now we're just going to scratch around a little bit, hoping to find Shudulu. Now there's certain roads in the reserve that we definitely find Shudulu on a lot more than others. So as soon as we pick up on a track, we're going to be able to follow them and hopefully get lucky. That beautiful, oh, hello, Warthog. You are remarkably chilled. Oh, there's another one. Ah, you're not so chilled. Look at that swinging tail. How could one resist? I'm very surprised we've managed to have more than 10 seconds with warthogs out here. And it's understandable why they're so skittish. There's a predator on every single corner. Oh, off we go. Debbie, it depends who you're after. You mean to us? Or to other animals? They're vegetarian, so they're not going to kill other organisms, but they are equipped with a pair of weapons that one can actually see. So you see the tusks in the upper jaw, but then there's actually tusks in the lower jaw that are hidden that you can't see, and those ones are kept extremely sharp, blade sharp, and they are the ones that can seriously do a lot of damage to animals or even us. Now, intentionally, if we were just walking along the road, they're not going to charge us, they're not going to harm us, but if we make them feel threatened or we accidentally stand at the entrance to their burrow, then they could come out, charge us and hit us with those tusks. And I have heard of really horrible incidents where shin bones have been snapped and legs have been seriously damaged due to warthogs. Dangerous, not going to attack you. You just should never put any sort of animal under strain. Now, I just need to pay attention at this junction. This is the important junction that leads to the west. So I will continue my search for Miss Shudulu and hopefully we get lucky.
So have a look at this beautiful scene. We've decided to move all the way down to this waterhole after leaving the lions. And there's some zebras in the background and, of course, quite a few impala. And you'll see there's even a few hippos in the water in front of us. So there were two young hippos earlier on that were having a bit of a play fight. So you could just see them like chasing each other and opening their mouths and trying to size each other up. But let's just see, maybe we can find them here again. I'm also going to give Beak a hand just to have a look and see if we can see any movement of those two in particular. I thought I saw a hyena at the back, but it looks like it's just an impala that's moving down towards the water's edge. There's also a wildebeest. Look at the size of this hippo's teeth as it's yawning. See, as they come out of the water, they blow the water out of their nostrils, that just to get the water out. It's always nice being able to watch hippos, because when they go into the water like that, sometimes they can stay as long as 6 minutes before they have to come back up again and breathe. I mean, that's a considerable amount of time under the water. Zambam, according to my knowledge, I don't know if there's maybe any other subspecies of hippos, or because it's only the two that I know of as well, and that's the dwarf hippo, and then of course these ones here. But I'm not too sure. Like, I would love to know from our viewers if I'll also go and try and read a little bit more if there's like a subspecies or maybe another individual that's been identified that I just don't know about. But I'd love to know from our viewers if they can have an input and let us know what they think, if there are more than just two species of hippos in Africa. I love the light this afternoon. It's so beautiful contrast with like the clouds. You have this white cloud and then the darker grey ones, and then you have the dark green in the back, and then the lighter green with the grass, and of course the grey with the water. It's just quite a beautiful picturesque scene to look at. Just heading back to those zebra in the distance and the impala. I wonder with these zebras and impalas, because you can imagine how the water line normally goes all the way up to the tree line at the back. So maybe the grass here is a lot more nutritious in comparison to some of the areas at the back. Or maybe just there's a lot more grass here than the tree line in the back. And so that's why it's drawing all these other animals into these open areas to come and feed. And it's near the water. At least they'll have a good view if there's any lines or anything that comes down to the water as well. They'll be able to spot it from quite a distance and then move into cover or just move away. But in the meantime, we're just going to spend here another minute or two and enjoy this. And let's head across to Lauren with an elephant.
Now we've just came across a huge elephant bull. I'm not sure if it's the same one Andrew had earlier or not, but he is massive. This is a very old bull. He's one of the largest I've seen in a while, and he should be easy to identify in future if you just look at that unique shaped tear in his left ear. You can actually use unique features to identify elephants, but he's massive. He's completely alone. I don't see any other elephants nearby, which is normal. were elephant bulls. And although he's alone, as you know, elephants can communicate at really, really low frequencies with one another. It's completely beyond the human hearing range. We can't hear it. And they're actually termed infrasounds. That's the name for the sounds that they're making. And they can travel several kilometers. If not more, they can travel a lot of kilometers. And what this does is essentially provides all the elephants with a private communication channel that no one else can tap into. Or definitely not humans, that's for sure. And this private communication channel actually plays a really important role in the complex social structures of elephants. So even if this bull right now is not talking to anyone, and I use the word talking loosely, he can still hear other conversations. He'll still be able to hear if there's a herd nearby communicating to one another. And it wasn't sure exactly what is he doing. Please don't push over that beautiful marula. I'm just having a little scratch on all those awkward places. But yes, science had no idea how elephants made these infrasounds. It was really unclear. And one possibility was that the elephants just sort of tensed and relaxed the muscles in their larynx, which is a voice box, the exact same as us. And this mechanism is said to be sort of similar to cats purring. I'm losing my voice as we speak, I'm not sure why. And therefore, the sounds are produced in a low pitch, but it's not very powerful. So is that the way that they produce sounds? They're not entirely sure. The other sort of theory that was proposed is that the elephant infrasounds are produced just like humans singing. Not when we talk, but when we sing. And because an elephant's larynx is so large, it produces at extremely low frequencies. So when we hum, humans hum, it's produced by sort of vibrations in the vocal folds, if you like, our vocal cords, And these vibrations obviously are set off by air that comes from the lungs. It doesn't require muscle activity. So one theory is muscle activity, sort of contracting and relaxing the muscles. And the second one is just like how humans sing with the vocal cords, and the tone and the pitch is changed by the air that's coming from the lungs. But they don't actually know. Humans can't hear them. We can't hear these sounds without any form of technology. So it makes it very, very difficult to actually figure out what we're listening to and how they're producing these sounds. I believe in the University of Vienna, actually, there was a scientist that removed an elephant's larynx. Apparently it died of natural causes, I must just say that. What are you doing? Having a good old smell at something. Possibly us, Davi. And anyway, it cut apart the larynx, which was said to be absolutely massive. And that was one of the first experiments into trying to understand how elephants produce these infrasounds. So we're just going to sit here and let this bull walk past, and then we'll continue our search for Tswalu.
Welcome back to andBeyond Phinda, everyone. We have managed to find another slightly larger herd of elephants here. There are two bulls that are with this herd, and then quite a few youngsters. The bulls on the left, you're going to see them come through a little gap, are pushing each other around a little bit. The one bull's quite a lot bigger than the other. Bull on the right, you can see there. The smaller bull's reversing at quite a speed. Oh, and we've got another female, it looks like, coming behind them. These bulls are just playing. You see a big shake of the head there. But beautiful scenes, nice and open here. So we can really see into the action and see what's going on. I think this younger bull might have been a little bit boisterous. now the bigger bull's putting him in his place. That female doesn't look too impressed that they're fighting right by the herd though. You see a tail going up there. Just a shake of the head. Oh, look at that. 2 males. Unbelievable scenes here at Phinda. We're going to hang around here for another little while and see if any other crazy scenes unfold.
So we're just enjoying the fact that it's become very peaceful here. Well, the dam is peaceful, but it's not necessarily all peace and tranquility. There's one big elephant bull that's pestering the elephants there in the mud wallows to the western side of Antelope Dam. And I was also a bit concerned because that's very close to the camp where all of our underground pipes are buried for the washing station and the showers. A bit nervous that the elephants have been digging around there, but it looks like they're just after the mud, so that's good. There's plenty of water around anyway. I don't see why they would. Try and dig up our carefully constructed pipe work. Well, they seem to do it quite regularly. Very clever elephants are. They would prefer to drink the clean water flowing through and out of our taps than the dirty water of the dam. You can hear lots of rumblings. There's a lot of interesting communication happening since that big bull turned up. I don't know whether he's maybe trying to mate with the females and they're not interested. Arnold, it's usually the opposite way around. The females are generally much, much smaller than male elephants. Now, because we can't see all the elephants anymore, they've gone behind some bushes, you can just see the one male. If a female was to go over there, a large female was to go next to this male, you would see that this elephant would probably stand almost a meter taller than that female. Maybe even more in some cases. They're much, much larger. I mean, a female elephant probably not going to get much more than 4 or 5 tons at its absolute biggest. And a male elephant can get, over 7 tons, which is significantly larger. Certainly much larger. Remember, males are fighting. They fight over the dominance or the chance to mate with females, and they fight with those tusks and their big, massive bodies. So the bigger and stronger they are, the more chance they have of winning those fights. The females don't really need to be much bigger than they need to be to chase away, let's say, buffaloes from the Waterhole or lions from their calves. So they're plenty big enough. With most mammal species, males are much larger. It's only really, a lot of birds and some reptiles where the female's larger because they develop eggs. And so the body needs to be a bit larger to accommodate all those eggs, those large, well-developed eggs. Well, now the elephant is playing hide and seek. It's hidden right behind that big clump of, I think it's spike thorn. Now it does look very peaceful. The dam. Now, there's another reason why we're waiting at the dam. Yesterday, there were reports from a guide that there was a leopard with a carcass. Not so far, maybe just about less than a kilometer north of where we are now. And when we went there this morning to have a look, it looked like that carcass had been stolen by hyenas. No sign of the leopard, just crunched up bones, a little bit of blood, and the stomach contents was left there. So I assume the hyenas stole it. So we're hoping that maybe that leopard is still around this area, and because it's nice and warm, it might come down and drink at the Waterhole. Potentially, maybe not. There's also puddles of water all over the place. So it might not, but hope is always there. I mean, we've been surprised lots of times before, sitting quietly at the dam with predators coming to drink as it gets a bit later. Well, while we wait for something else to come back, we'll send you over to Phinda. We've got another elephant.
Alrighty, so that male has moved now off to the left. He's gone behind a big bush and carried on feeding. There was a little bit of trumpeting that happened and he moved off. And then we've got one of the matriarchs here. All our matriarchs at Phinda are fitted with a radio collar, so you can see on the back of her head there she's got a collar on with a tag. So that's just so that they can track the elephant's movements around the reserve and forms part of very valuable research that happens here at Phinda. And also in the event of a herd of elephants breaking out, they'll always be able to track them down, which is really important because if the elephants do get out, they could potentially cause quite a lot of damage and make some problems for themselves in the surrounding areas. So a little bit of insurance just to make sure we've got them all safe and sorted. The female, this matriarch here that we can see, doesn't have any tusks either, which is quite a strange sight. Tusks in elephants are very much part of their genetics. So less to do with the age as some people think. Some people think it's the big old bulls that have got the big tusks. But we've got some big old bulls with quite small tusks. And like we can see, this matriarch female doesn't have any tusks at all. So a little bit of a different sight. She's got quite small ears as well, you can see there. Oh, a big shake of the head. She's just standing with her calf now. If you look down between her legs, you can see, a little bit of a dust. So elephants will dust bathe sometimes a couple times a day to help create a layer of dust on their backs. That little calf now running between the legs of the two larger animals. Two females there. Hey Kirsten, we do indeed have marula trees here. Myself and Owen were actually just chatting about marula trees 15-20 minutes ago, saying that the marula trees up in Hoedspruit, where he's from, are so much bigger than the ones that we've got down here at Phinda. But nonetheless, we do have them. They are currently starting to fruit, but the fruits are still very much green. So they're not quite ripe and falling off the trees yet. But it'll be an exciting day when that happens. We get to eat a few little marulas, fresh from the trees. I'm excited for that day anyway. If we go across to the little calf on the slightly to the right there now, very small youngster. Looks like he's got a little bit wet earlier, maybe when they were drinking not too far from here. He got splashed. But he's kind of been walking around slowly. You can see him playing with his trunk there, trying to get to grips with how it moves. Maybe the mother or another female in the group is giving him a little push then. Michael, I reckon that baby is maybe between 8 months and a year now, maybe a little bit younger than that. See his little male actually. Now that I was just looking quite close with my binoculars. And I'm not sure if the bigger elephant that came and gave him a little push now was the mother or one of his siblings. Oh, he's running around a little bit now. He went off around the bush by himself and maybe got spooked a little bit by something and then came trotting at quite a speed back towards the other older elephants in this herd. So those other animals here might be aunts, uncles, maybe even siblings. You can see if you look right down below his legs, you can see his penis hanging between his legs there. So, pretty sure sign that it's a male. I'm just going to roll us a little. No, he's coming into the open now. So he does look like he's being a little bit more playful. He's got a little bit of energy. Moving off now to a small little green shrub that he found on the ground. So this is a really young elephant, you can imagine. Very playful, still very much exploring this new world. You can see he's a little bit wobbly on his feet at times. His trunk's not quite in control. And really just loving life. There's another small elephant, not quite as small as the one we've just seen. He's about to come out from behind the bush on the left. Oh, no, of course he stopped as I said he was about to come out. So this, family groups around here. There's some water not too far away. I think they were actually drinking from one of the swimming pools at Mountain Lodge, which is not something that happens all that often, but it happened today, which was quite cool. I just want to stay in view of these little calves, so that we can carry on with the view. Actually, I think we'll call it here for now. So this matriarch's now also feeding on one of the little shrubs that she's picked off the ground. We're going to hang out here for the next little while, stay with these calves and see if they get up to any more nonsense and games. And for now, we'll go across to Tswalu, but we'll see you a little bit later.
Well, taking a look at the smaller things, we have to appreciate these beautiful brown-veined whites here. We've just stopped to look at the plant that these two beautiful butterflies are sitting on. The vine that it's sitting on at the moment is a trellis vine, and its adaptations are quite remarkable. But appreciating these little guys is obviously very, very important in my books. But looking at plants, if you look at plants in general, obviously having a very hardy stem to keep the plant upright and erect is very, very important to reach, obviously, the sun's warm rays. So having a thick stem like that and very, very sturdy and hardy is very important. Or you can go a little bit bigger and better, which would be the trunk of this tree. But if you look at trunks like that, it's a very, very expensive cost to produce something that thick and that strong to keep you upright. And if you look at plants in general, plants are remarkable. So plants have adapted and modified themselves to suit them best into multiple habitats across the world. And if you look at some plants, they don't have this hardy, thick stem structure in order to keep them upright and obviously reaching up to the sunlight. But what they would do is actually use other plants, just like the creeper is doing here right now. If you take a look at this creeper, is actually utilizing this camel thorn in order to reach the life-giving sunlight that it needs. And obviously, the higher you get, the more sunlight you're going to reach, because in the understory of this stuff over here, you can have shadows being cast from larger trees like this camel thorn, which would be detrimental for the plant. But a very easy plant to recognize. So if you take a look here on my beautiful pointer, if you take a look at this one right over here, it's super easy to recognize by the shape of this beautiful broad leaf. It almost has a heart-like shape. I don't know if I'm thinking about love. No, it's definitely got a heart shape. And then the way it's creeping around the branch, you can see there. And then the flowers are really remarkable. If you take a look here, how the flowers are borne in axillary, and it's got little bell-shaped flowers which hang upside down. You can see this one right over here is actually open. The other members haven't opened yet. But just looking at plants like this, and the tactics that they use in order to thrive with the environment is really remarkable. So we looked at certain plants which don't even tap themselves into the soil, like that mistletoe we looked at a couple of weeks ago. But just seeing these remarkable adaptations is just something mind-boggling for me, and just to appreciate how did this all come about, finding this niche and then evolving and adapting into the specialized market by using other plants and other organisms. So really, really interesting and very, very easy to recognize. So you can see there's a nice big stretch over here. And if Craig takes it to the left-hand side, you're going to see another large vine going up into the camel thorn. And if you can follow it, and if you can follow all those heart-shaped leaves, you can see it's gone quite high, almost halfway, more than halfway up this beautiful camel thorn. And I mean, that's really clever. And if you think about the cost, the energy that one would have to put into creating a stem, that's very, very costly. So if you can rather use a structure that's currently existing, why not? And then you can see how many leaves that this plant can put out, obviously because of the available energy it's got. And if you go into the camel thorn to the top there, we can see beautiful southern masked weaver nests, utilizing this camel thorn as well. So not only the creepers, but birds. In the mix of things, there's also, do you see that cluster there? Like brown cluster. Inside there's, Ian, are the thorns sharp or are they soft? From the camel thorn, they are very hard. So if Craig can come in this way, these are not just for show and tell. This is very hardy. It's like a toothpick. And this is a very efficient form of defense for this tree. So obviously you try and deter herbivores, having these spines off of this branch over here. So if you look at these spines, especially the bigger ones, they're actually used by ants, and you'll find that a certain species of ant actually inhabit the root structure, or underneath the soil, the root structure of these beautiful plants. They're called pugnacious. And then you'll find about 3 species in this area that actually utilize the thorns for housing. These are fairly small, but as you go into the tree, you would find bigger individuals. And within the thorn, they would hollow out the thorn itself, and they would house their larvae inside these hollowed out thorns. So not only form of protection, but also housing for other species. But then these species work in conjunction together, becoming symbiotic partners, working together. Look at the muggies over here. Can you see them over here, Craig? Well, they're very, very small. So a really, really remarkable tree. If you look at camel thorn, it is just a very, very big ecological role play here. And the largest tree that is found within the Kalahari system itself, the camel thorn, Vichilia erioloba. And I mean, what it gives in terms of all aspects of life, it provides for multiple species, which is very, very important for areas such as this. The creeper, the insects, I mean, enriching the soil. I mean, this tree is actually enriching the soil around it. It can fix nitrogen within the soil, leaching out certain elements, but a really, really beautiful species. But we thought we would show you the vine. What we're going to do from here is we're going to continue further east into the rumbling darkness that is there. And we're going to see, slowly, we're going to see what we can pick up along the way. Well, from here, we'll see you shortly. We're going to send you over to some hippos.
Thanks, Carl. So we're stationary now here at Gamusuk Dam, where there's a couple of hippos in here. I know sometimes we come in, there's only maybe one or none. So it's probably because they maybe don't come back to the same waterhole. There's a plenty of waterhole that are free for them to use. But here it looks like all female. I don't see any male, so it happens maybe he's somewhere else. Or he's out of here for now. Maybe, during the movement at night, they'll join up. Because this is where they started to get mobile. Every time it's dusk and dawn, dark take places, they gotta move to reach far out land, and they eat grasses most. So they are vegetarian. It looks like she's got a few of, looks like a 2 that I saw there, which is slightly younger still, but they're different age. It's probably one of that young one, it's her baby, and the other one's probably someone else. Liam, you're asking if the male do fight for mating rights. They do fight for territory, and then, you know, fighting is actually very critical sometimes. One will die for that fight due to that they have two incisors, tuskers, which is below their jaws. Those ones are very sharp when they do that. So they do definitely fight for territory, winning rights of mating, dominate. So one group of pod of hippo, there has to be one male there with them as a dominate. So a territory situation, it comes very strictly sometimes, where these male wouldn't really tolerate another male from different area, especially if they're equal in size, then it's going to be a lot of competition for fighting. But whoever lost the fight, you get out. This death, actually, I saw quite a few times out here. And with these lower incisors, the tooth they have, it's very strong, and they're the only serious weapon for self-defense they ever have. They only use them for fight, they don't use them for grazing or grasses, anything, only for defense themselves, or defend themselves. But also female have them as well, so they both have those two incisors below the bottom jaw. But there seems to be else. So you're asking if I ever have seen a fatal hippo fight. Yeah, I did. And it was actually one of the morning. But what happened there was a bigger one, and the size was different. The other one was a lot smaller. So the smaller one was also trying to push off that waterhole. And that fight actually took almost a lot of hours because everybody responded to that sighting. Eventually, the bigger one gave up. I think it was probably understanding that, oh, well, he probably maybe won't do anything. So I've seen a few times of male fighting. And that one that went die, actually, it was a very serious fight that probably took the whole night, pushing one another. And eventually one gets so much bad cut and couldn't make it when he get out of the waterhole, just went died right away. So I'm going to be on search again, so I'm traveling now back west to see if I can get anything, maybe a cat again this afternoon, just before dark.
Have you been watching WildEarth and dreamt of being right there on safari with one of the guides? Well, now you can. WildEarth is offering you a chance to buy a ticket to dream. You or a friend can hop on board a live WildEarth show and join our guide on safari. The ticket is redeemable at any of our locations, anytime in the future. Only a limited number of tickets are available, so don't wait. Get your ticket now and start dreaming. Terms and conditions apply.
My name is Lauren, and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me, and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed. Welcome to my car. This is Wendy, and she's my favorite. She would love to have your name engraved on her so you can be with her every single time she goes on a safari here in Djuma. If you become a WildEarth explorer, you will have the opportunity to buy an engraved tag, which we will attach to her. We will make sure to send you a digital picture to show you exactly where you are sitting on her. You will have front row seat in every single sighting.
We've seen these ellies really chase wild dogs before to get into spot. There we go, there it comes. Look at that, isn't that amazing?
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
So have a look at this beautiful marula tree that we have on the screen, but what's more exciting is what's in this marula tree. So if you look closely, you'll see there's a leopard lying on the branch. Now it's really hard to see unless we move a bit closer, but this morning we had a leopard with a kill, and one of the male lions came and stole the kill. Now, this one here is not the same leopard we saw this morning. This is actually her daughter. And she's also in the tree with the kill. But what's interesting enough is that same male lion that stole the kill from her mom is also in the area. And he's lying down, probably trying to get to the kill. But I just want to show you the kill is in relation to her. So she's up this side, and off to the left now here, the kill is on a very, very thin branch. On this side, looks like an impala. You can see the leg dangling down. There's a bit of the meat that you can see. But who knows, maybe the mum would come and join up a little bit later. But with that male lion being around, the chances are this leopard has no need to come down. She's actually just resting with her head on that branch, just looking in his direction. He's just behind us. Maybe during some time, if she doesn't move, we'll try and move back to that male lion to go and have a look. See her white chin there and her head resting against that branch. Now that is a very thin branch, and even though a lion is quite a good climber, that particular male lion, he won't be able to get to that branch where she is now. It's just his weight, and also like he won't find the balance up at that thin branch. So she's very, very comfortable where she is right now. But I'm thinking just for all our viewers, just to show you more or less how far they are apart from one another. If you bear with me, I'm just going to reposition the vehicle and just show you where this male lion is in relation to this leopard. So what I'm doing, I'm just going to start off the vehicle. So just bear with me as we move back. We're not going to move far back. So the tree is off to our right, and just behind us here is where that male lion is lying down. So I just want to show you that it's not so far from where this leopard is. So I'm just turning in here. I think once I stop here in the shade, you'll be able to see this male. Okay, let's try it from here, and then we'll maneuver a bit closer. But see right there in the shade, there's the mane of that male lion. So he's right here, but I mean, she's just in the tree off to our left. And what could have happened is after he fed off that impala carcass from the mother, he probably moved along here and got a whiff of this carcass here, and then decided to try and go for it. But of course, he didn't manage to get it. So now just to show the tree, it's just here to the left. I don't know if we will be able to see her up in the tree, but BK says he's going to try his best. You can actually see her tail dangling down at the moment. So unfortunately, one of the bars are in the way. So I'm just going to try and reposition the vehicle. So just move the vehicle slightly to see if we can get a better glimpse of this leopard. Just bear with me. Around about there. Just have a look, BK. Just see if we can get another glimpse of this leopard. I mean, she's so high up in the tree, it's very, very difficult to see her. Don't think we're going to get a better view. Might just move back a slight bit. Back. Last time moving back, so hopefully we will get a glimpse from her round about here. There we go. There she is. To see her front paw tucked over that branch as well to help with balance, and of course the tail dangling down. Calvin, it all depends on like the size of the leopard, if it's a male or female, because the males tend to eat more than the females. But let's say with this female here, that's just over 2 years old, and a carcass the size of a female impala, this would probably keep her, if it's only her, no one else, up here for at least 3 days. So she'll feed off that carcass for 3 days, and after that, most likely move on. And then some of the raptor birds might even finish it. Sometimes, if a leopard is not too experienced, she might even drop that carcass or the little bit of remains that's there as she's trying to position it over that very thin branch at the top. And that's why that's also waiting around. He's probably just waiting for her to go and feed and possibly even drop the carcass as she's trying to maneuver it up higher. The male's now, his head is down. And this female as well, she's also she probably knows that she can't take that risk to come down because she probably doesn't know if there's any other lions in the area, so she'll just stick it out for the next little while. And there's nowhere for her to be. Probably eventually later on go and feed off that carcass again, and maybe even late in the evening if the lion does move off, go and have a drink. There's a lot of water around in the area, so she doesn't have to go far to get it. So let's head across to Tswalu, and then Bika, I'm just going to sit here and see if there's anything that happens.
Well, while Nikki finds you guys the best possible view, which is always the best thing from the guide, we are enjoying this lovely scenic view we've got here, and then also appreciating this. Pretty remarkable. It's my Halloween fancy dress-up hat that I'd use every now and then. Just joking. We spoke about plants and their very clever strategies that they have to grow and thrive within different areas, and some of them being quite clever at that. But when it comes to adaptations and tactics, obviously reproduction is a very important part, because without reproduction nothing else happens. But in this sense, seed dispersal is what this structure would be doing. And just from the wind you can see how all these stems are vibrating. So you can see this will definitely be driven by the wind, or wind driven. So when it comes to seed dispersal, plants can be very clever at that. You can have little hooks that hook into fur. It can be a sticky substance that adheres to certain things. And then the wind. Wind is a very prominent factor that can be used in an unlimitless supply. And if you take a look at this, this is from the remnants of a plant called a ground lily or saw-eyed lily. So where my hand is, and my hand goes to the bottom of the plant, that's where the stem would have... Hello! Look at him. Do you see him in there, Craig? A little corn cricket here in front of my finger. He's green. There's a little young juvenile corn cricket just underneath my finger over here, tucked up in between the stems of this plant. You see it? Okay, all right, let's leave him be there. But this would be the structure used for seed dispersal of this plant. And if I hold this one very close, you can see that this structure is closed off. So it would dry out, and over a period, this section of here would start fracturing, and this is where the seed would come out. But over time, this was all these nodes wouldn't dry out at the same time, so you'd have a concession of seed dispersal while being driven by the wind. And I mean, let's just go to the road here, Craig, because there is a bit of wind now. Got me? Go a bit further. Let's see if it will be driven by the wind. Okay, A for effort. But you can see the function of all those stems, and once there's a bit of wind, how that would roll. And in that action, seeds will then be dispersed at different points. It's a really remarkable adaptation from a plant. And if you look at tumbleweed, that's what this thing would be doing. Exactly the same principle, being driven by the wind, and over time seeds dispersing from these capsules. Really beautiful and really nice to see. From here, we're going to enter a little pan that's just in front of us. We can hear quite an eruption of bubbling casinas, and then we think we heard a bullfrog. So we're going to go from here just a little bit further east. We're going to enter that area, and we're going to scratch around at the water, see what we can find. But also just enjoying all of this over here. I mean, look at that. I love looking at clouds. I really do. But we'll see you guys back at this side when you get here. We're going to send you over to Lauren with some lions.
So, sorry Lauren about that. So we're checking, see if there's any new of a leopard cat or cats, the tracks of a leopard around here. It looks like it's old. So we're going to check a few open area there. The impala stick around. So otherwise, we found out. It doesn't look fresh though, probably maybe early this morning. Wherever there is that leopard must be long gone, because they do that here. Sometimes it's a valuable sighting, sometimes they just vanish off. So I'm going to be sending you over to Lauren again.
So we have the Dalamati bride, everyone, or just one individual. But just quickly, because I don't think this lion's going anywhere quickly, we found a hairy caterpillar. This must be a newly hatched caterpillar. How do I know this? Look how small it is. And I don't know what species this belongs to, but it's very, very small. And normally it's still sort of a unique life cycle for a butterfly and moth. They have eggs. They have a caterpillar phase, then they have a pupal phase, and then they have the adult phase. And because this individual is so tiny, you can see that and as big as possible, and then you can turn into the most beautiful of butterflies or moths. I think this is a newly hatched, hairy little caterpillar. What species am I from? This side.
So have a look at this elephant bull. So he's really close to where this male lion is, but it looks like this elephant bull might be in must. So he might have picked up the scent of that lion. Let's have a look how he's going to react. So the lion is in front of him. So just to give you an idea, so the elephant's right there, and the lion is right there, just to the right of that bush. I know it's hard to see. I'm just going to, just bear with me as I maneuver the vehicle slightly forward. then you'll be able to see the male lion in relation to the elephant. So right here, you'll be able to see that. So there he is, just looking at that elephant. So we'll just see where this elephant goes. Because he's a musk, you'll notice there's quite a lot of urine running between his legs, as well as near his head, there's a secretion of the temporal gland. So this just means that this elephant has quite a lot of testosterone, heightened levels of testosterone, a lot more than normal. And because of that, he will give him his space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give him his space. We'll just have a look and see where that male lion goes to. But in the meantime, we'll just see us and this elephant. Slow down now. So let me just move here. There's a nice open clearing, and I'll turn around and see if we can see that elephant again. So the biggest thing of this elephant, imagine now, like he's quite frustrated because he has all this additional testosterone in him. He has a lot of energy, doesn't know like how to get rid of it. And now because of that, he might be a lot more aggressive in comparison to a normal elephant bull. And because of that, we'll just give him a moving off now. Also, look at how nice that view is of the leopard up in the tree. You can actually see the tail dangling down. So how ridiculous is this? 3 of the big 5 in just one scene. Elephant bull, leopard up in the tree, and a male lion. What was interesting to notice is when that elephant turned towards that lion was so still. It did not move at all. Probably because it knew that as soon as it started moving, that it would have drawn the elephant's attention. Just try and see if we can see that elephant again. Oh, there it is. Looks like it is moving away from us. Just feeding at the moment. So what we'll do, because we don't want to put ourselves in a little box here with that elephant coming back towards us, so let's make our way back towards where that male lion, and we can always turn around and actually have the sun on our backs, just so we can see better. But very, very interesting sighting. There's the elephant's moving off to the right. So that's good. Right, so he's moving off that way. I'll just stop right over here. That elephant has just stopped now, and I wonder if it didn't pick up a scent, maybe even the scent of the leopard. It maybe could be that there's another pan system on that side. But let's just have a look at this leopard again. So she's still staring at the lion, and I wonder maybe if that lion possibly started getting up. And that's why she's looking that side. Let's go have a look. I mean, the elephant walked past. It actually moved the lion a bit before the elephant arrived. And see where that male lion is. Okay, so the leopard's right here up in the tree. And now I would also love to see an interaction between the elephants and the lions. Gone down down for a drink. So let's try and move to this side. I'll keep a bit of a distance so we don't disturb this male lion. And I'll stop right here. Incredible. Now he is staring in the direction of that leopard with the impala, so let's see if he goes in that direction. Now, as we mentioned, so this morning he actually climbed the tree to get to where that leopard's mom was with another impala kill and pulled the kill out of the tree. Okay, so look at him. Let's see if he's going back to that tree. Because if he carries on too much this way, like he's going straight to that elephant, which wouldn't be too wise for this male. But who knows, maybe he tried early on to get to the carcass, couldn't get to it, and now he's deciding to move on. I'll just stop like this. I'm just going to scent mark the area. So what he's doing now, because one of the ways that lions do scent mark is by urinating on the ground, and what they do is they rub their back feet through it. So as they move, that scent stays on their feet. And it's just like this boundary line. So as soon as other males move into the area, they can smell that and know, okay, this is this particular male's area. And of course, if they try and mark over that, that's when there would be a fight. I think for now, we know where this leopard is and we can always come back to this leopard. Let's follow this line and see where it's off to. This is exciting. I mean, like for us now, this is quite a nice time of the afternoon. It's that golden hour. And just to be able to follow a male lion and also just like see where is he off to and try and figure out, is he going to try and join up with the rest of the pride? Because the pride that we saw earlier this afternoon on our drive is more in this direction, so maybe there's a chance that he could be heading down in that direction. And also with a male lion like this, you don't want to be too close. You want to his space. I think he's just smelt that carcass. Look at him picking up his head, turning it sideways. Or it could be that elephant. Remember that elephant, bull and must that we saw earlier walked past here. And to one of our rangers that are also hoping to come this way. Animal is currently north of Mgwava clearings. Best approach is from that 2-track towards Mgwava clearings from Karikal. Affirmative, there's also Nyala female youngster that's up in the marula tree just on the northern side of the clearings. All right, let's follow. I'm just live at the moment. I'll respond properly soon. So we just follow him for the next little while. Let's just see where he's got. Oh, he's standing right here. He's actually, I think he might have smelled the carcass because he's picking up his head the whole time, smelling. Let me just stop here for you. He's turning back to the tree. And it might be, imagine now that leopard has probably fed off the carcass and there was a bit of the stomach content or something that could have fallen to the ground. And the wind is blowing from the tree in this direction, and probably that's what he's now smelling. Let's go and have a look. Maybe that interaction that we were hoping for. I just don't like an interaction between a lion and a leopard because I think the lion has an unfair advantage. But, of course, the leopard is very elegant and very quick up in the tree. So just to show you, I'll use the wider screen. So see, there's a tree right here. up on this, the one where the leopard is in, and then of course the male lion's right. See how he's picking up his head, just smelling the air. Probably spotted that carcass. It's incredible how strong their sense are. I mean, that carcass is hoisted so high up that tree, and he's able to pick up that scent. And an elephant bull has moved past the area, so I mean, it doesn't really make it that easy for him to pick up that smell. Oh, and he's heading straight to that tree. Okay, let's move around. We'll try and position ourselves in a place where we can actually see if the lion is going to try and climb the tree. BK, would it be best to park like this, at this angle? Like the... Alright, so let's just move like this. Alright, so this is that tree. So this is that tree that we were telling you about with the impala carcass up in. So the leopard's still there. The lion staring into the tree. Neva, it all depends on a lot of factors. I mean, like how strong the wind might be, whatever the kill might be, or whatever it's smelling. But let's say in general, they can probably smell up to maybe a couple of kilometers, depending on how strong the scent is. Let's hear what this lion is about to do. He's probably trying to look up the trees to see where this kill is. And I'm sure he's probably spotted the leopard. But he's just weighing up his options. Is it worth it for him to try and get to the top? So he's just moved them behind the vehicle and moving off. I'm just trying to see where this male lion is going. In the meantime, while we're going to see where this male lion is going, let's head across to Tswalu with their male lion.
Very busy Tswalu. The sound in the background there is being a sound produced from a frog called a bubbling casina. And we entered the pan over here looking at a butterfly, and in the mix of things, Craig's like, oh, there's a lion. Young male lion, about 3.5, 4 years of age, just resting at the water's edge. It's actually at a very nice shady spot there. can see from the extent of his mane that he's still a fairly young individual. Obviously, that mane needing to be much bigger for him to be a dominant or a threat to another individual. And this individual, knowing the lions here, he should have a brother fairly close by. So more than likely tucked in just in front of him there. And the area is a little bit tight for me to squeeze through. Obviously, I would disturb him and I don't want to do that. It's just relaxing. But what a beautiful sound to be watching a beautiful lion. Looks like he's gonna yawn. It's quite hot. Eruption of noise. All the males trying to serenade for the ladies. The ladies just listening at who sounds the best.
Thanks, Carl. So, our update since earlier, we mentioned that we're going to look around for leopard, but, there's we haven't found them yet, but there's two sets of tracks, which are male and female, and I'm not sure which one it could be. Now we have to cross the border to the west, tracking them down here. As you can see, they got an impala in front of us. It's not actually busy looking around and feeding, looking around. It's so difficult for single male impala or single antelope individual to be able to make sure it's safe for themselves. All they do, they have to feed and scan around at the same time, which is not easy. So the reason I stop here is because, we're on these tracks now. But we got to have to also stop and listen. If they're paired, then either is a mating pair. We could have got any audio, otherwise, if there is a mating pair that they're around here. But could be maybe, who knows, a Shidulu, and the male, I'm not sure. Because Ngana, he didn't go back north at all. So we believe he might be still around. Nobody find him. So we will just gonna carry on, check around a few roads, but we're gonna continue to do this. Sometime we'll stop just to listen if there's any audio we're going to pick up. It could be that maybe that antelope is getting hunted now, where they're a very passionate animal, but they won't actually continue or focus on the hunt if there's a mating pair. Trying to hide away from us. All you see is just a two pair of horns sticking out all the time. Well, he's singling himself away from the rest of the other male. So let me take a look around here. Hope we get lucky. I'm going to be sending you over to Tswalu with the line.
Well, look what we have got here, a beautiful shaft-tailed wider. It's quite a way away, but we're still having a beautiful view. But look at the tail feathers of that bird. Unbelievable. That's actually what drew us initially into the watering hole, was that beautiful bird. And we have located this lovely lion and his sibling, which is tucked in the thick of things there, in that nice lush green grass under the... Oh, lovely. Thank you, big boy. So these two males, obviously brothers, and obviously the bond with male lions is very strong, because having a partner in crime and throughout your life is a very important thing. And obviously you are more of a dominating force when you finally get to an opportunity where you can take over a pride. It's quite hot. His tummy looks full. So I wonder if they came from a kill fairly close and they've just been here for water and they're resting, because he's panting very quickly. It's not hot for a lion to be panting like that. And you can see there clearly in picture, you can see the white bit. If you follow his neck and chest down, you can see the white bit extending there. That tummy is full. I've found in my career that cubs, especially after a carcass, they moan and groan that they want to go to water. Haley, good afternoon. Thank you for your question. Which pride are they from? These two males, the siblings over here, they are from the northern pride. Sorry, they are from the southern pride here in Tswalu. And they are on the outskirts of that pride at the moment. Whew. Competing here for talk time. And obviously because of their age and the threat that they possess around younger cubs, they have been kind of pushed out at the moment. And also lions at this stage get very piggish around carcasses. Males are very dominating around a kill. They kind of just dominate all the meat and they just gorge themselves before anybody else. And that's not really nice for the rest of the pride. And the moms obviously want to protect and ensure the safety of the younger cubs that need their chance. So they are hanging on the outskirts, and they've been, I found them here a couple of times now around this watering hole. So I think this is the area that they've felt most safe for now. I see the tail there. Yes. So Craig's going to show you where the other brother is lying, just to the right, and punching just in the thick of things, that nice green bush to the right, a little bit to the right. Right. There you can see a tail move. There's the tail. The brother's laying in there. And it shows you how a lion is designed. So even while it's resting, you can see how concealed these animals are. Sure, the sound of these frogs is just amazing. You can see the remnants of an old kudu there, kudu pool. Unfortunately, came to the wrong watering hole on the wrong day. But these two boys still have a lot of learning and a lot of growing to do before they eventually are any threat to anybody, especially the dominant males at this point in time. Wow. The early evening coolness is set in now. Sound of these beautiful frogs. We're looking at a lion and we're with you guys. It couldn't get better than that. Yo, that sleek bullet-like hair there. Wow. So initially what drew us into this pan was the sound of a frog. We haven't heard it again. And we think it was a bullfrog. It sounded like it, but it was such a distance that we didn't hear correctly. Oh, it's very hot. So that mane that he is presenting there now, that mane would be the largest around about 5.5, 6 years of age. And right now he looks like a scruffy young boy. And that's very important because he's got to remain concealed. And visually, if an older, bigger, more mature lion looks at him, that individual knows that he's not even worth the time. Okay, can we get on to this over here while that lion is sleeping? I just want you folks, I'm going to duck my head up here. Look how beautiful this area is. Absolutely incredible. And so that reedy, grassy-like structure there on the water's edge, that's where all these bubbling casinos are calling from. we're going to enjoy this a little bit longer, but we're going to send you over to Lauren with some hyenas.
Well, we just had Hart and Swazi. I think they've gone too far off into the thicket. Hart and Swazi. We had Hart with an impala leg in her mouth. And they are the culprits behind Kalamba's missing kill, I'm sure. Hart had the leg. Swazi's belly is full. They're covered in blood. Kalamba made that kill this morning very, very close to the hyena den. Very close. Hart walked right in front of the car with a huge leg. So I'm just going to race round and check the den and see if anybody is there with any other parts of the carcass. But that makes sense why we couldn't find Kalamba and we couldn't find the carcass. It obviously dropped. And the culprits behind eating it are Hart and Swazi. The same culprits that were at the den this morning. So I don't know if the den's going to be active, but I just wonder if there's any other parts of the carcass at the den. There's a vehicle here, so just bear with me. I wonder what they're looking at. I'm just going to check and see if there's anything in this den. I don't know why there's a vehicle positioned off here. Let's just go and investigate. Very possibly. I don't see anything, do you, Davy? It's going to take us a bit of time to navigate around this den here. So I will check the hyena den and hopefully we'll get lucky. For now, over to Tswalu.
All right, we just want to show you folks something quite amazing. While myself and Craig were driving up this pan, we were being swarmed by these tiny little fly-like midges as we were driving, and we've got the position now just right with the sunlight that we can actually see. Oh, they're drifting to the right. Yeah, they come back, Yo, look at all of those little mickies, guys. Very important food source for a lot of birds, insects, and you can see their close proximity to the tree. They use the tree as a safety point, almost like a safe zone. So if a bird had to come in here like a swift or swallow, which are very agile and very accurate, or agile flying birds, sorry, these little mickies will just draw themselves straight into the tree where they would find safety. But look at how many there are. So while we were driving, I was opening my mouth and getting a little bit of protein on the go. Wow. So small little insects like this make a very important part of the food web. Obviously a staple for a lot of things to keep links going. Great stuff. Wow, glad that we got to see that. Wow. And we're still just enjoying these frogs, these casinas. Wiley, what do they feed on? Great question. An insect that small, I would say plant matter, so sapping up food. So like flies, they have a specialized mouth structure that almost looks like a Hoover vacuum cleaner appendage. And what they do is they actually lap up and sap up liquid form of food. So I would... Yo, Wally, that's a great question. Wally, I'll get back to you. I'm going to look that up this evening, and I will get back to you and let you know what 100% what they feed on. But that is a huge swarm there. Great question. Thank you, Wally. Sure. All right, well, we're going to enjoy this, and we're going to send you over to Andrew. He has got a buffalo.
Thank you very much. So see what we got right here. Got a African buffalo, Cape buffalo, looking at us. It's actually in a thicket. But it's so nice that, you know, it's taking a little bit of its herd towards us. It's a Cape buffalo. Well, it looks like the only one where we don't actually see many of a buffalo out here. Is that they're still away for now. But we came west. This is where we picked one up. We saw actually defecation in the road, and it was very fresh though. But Simon spotted, so it's so cool, and then he was just there, not moving. So I'm not sure if he's probably okay. I'm saying I'm not sure. You know, limps sometimes take places. They get injured sometimes. But, you know, separation like this happens to many of these, you know, African buffalo when they get old. They separate from the females. Where there, it's a lot of already teenager male that are taking care of the whole herd. Those are the older ones. Eventually they're pushed off, or they cannot follow the herd anymore because they don't want to move too much. So it could be the two reasons they're also separated from the older age. They cannot keep up with the group, or they've been pushed out by these new dominant males that are in the herd. So finally they don't have a choice to dominate there anymore. But if the herd come down here, they will hooked up with them. Eventually they will left behind because you get used to it. Just like a statue. Miss Sunshine. You're 100% right, I agree. Look at this horn. It's actually old, and that's how you can tell looking at this horn how they actually grown up and very curled up backwards slightly, but sharpening. And a bald, this element on the front of the head, that's where you know it's actually called ducker boy. Out here, those type of a male that they separate from the herd. Okay. It's now coming out. So once they single out like this, they kind of like very much a deadly animal out here. So if you on foot around here, that kind of like aggression he's giving us right now, you gotta get out. You know, they don't actually mock charge, they come straight at you. So let's carry on. Check one of the dam there. We're still on our track of a leopard. We haven't found it yet. I'm going to be sending you over to a Phinda.
And welcome back to an absolutely beautiful scene at Phinda, We came into this area where we are now because we heard some Ngala alarm calling. We were secretly hoping that I was going to stumble upon a leopard. And we came across this beautiful scene, so quite dispersed from where the rest of the herd was that we saw a little while ago. But another small breeding herd of elephant that we've got crossing this big open area here. There's a lot of cloud cover on the horizon, but you can just see a beautiful band of golden light streaming in across the back there. And a really soft scene with this green grass here. So this area is quite a low-lying area, and as a result, the water table is a lot closer to the surface here. A lot of the water, when it rains, runs off in this direction and pools at the bottom. So we get small little puddles of water, and as a result, the grass stays really beautiful and green. So you can see some of the tips of the grass where the elephants are standing is a little bit more golden, but at the base and a little bit further down, the grass is really, really green and lush. So I'm sure those elephants are really enjoying feeding on it. I saw them pulling up some tufts of grass a little bit earlier, and it looks like they are still doing that now. There's at least one youngster in that group with them, and there's a matriarch there on the far left. We can see a collar. And then maybe some other females. There's also a couple of wildebeest across to the left. A small herd of them, so that's amazing to see. And just a really beautiful scene here. The sun's starting now to get a little bit lower, and I think even the clouds above our head are starting to get a beautiful yellow color. I'm sure in the next couple minutes, maybe the next 15 minutes or so, we'll start getting some pink hues, hopefully, fingers crossed. You never know when it's a little bit more cloudy like this, but the clouds do often make for the most beautiful sunsets. There's quite a lot of cloud cover here, but as you can see, there's magical. Yeah, I think it's a little bit too close to the elephants for now to pull our drink stop out. But I've had a drink stop or two just about 100 meters away from where we are now. It is a really, really stunning spot to have your drinks, especially with these big wide open areas here. There's often Ngala, sometimes waterbuck, zebra, wildebeest, all kinds of animals in this area feeding on this really beautiful green grass. And actually in summertime, when we've had quite a lot of rain and the water's pooled up a little bit more, it can be a really beautiful spot to come birding as well. There's quite a few waders that'll come into this area, and no, it's just all in all a magnificent scene here. We can see those elephants are feeding, and as they're feeding, they're slowly moving in the direction towards us. They are heading back north. The mountains in the background just behind those elephant we saw this other elephant just in front of those mountains a little bit earlier. So just to give you a bit of an idea, I don't know, I guess we're 4 or 5 kilometers away from where we saw the last one. Aussie guy, elephant skin, how thick is it? I know it's pretty thick. I've never measured it myself, but I imagine it's quite tough. I know we had an elephant bull who died when I just started here at Phinda about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, and where he died there were vultures around, which is a nice big open area, and for a few days actually the vultures were just standing around waiting for a bigger animal to come in and open the carcass up, because the skin's so thick that they couldn't actually break through. I think after a couple of days some hyena made their way in there and managed to open up the stomach a little bit, and then all the vultures got stuck in. But It's thick and quite tough. You can imagine they walk through very thorny thickets. I'm not sure if you've spent much time in the bush in South Africa, but we've got some serious thorn trees here. And the elephants seem, for the most part, to get by without a problem. Just as I'm saying that, the elephants do actually look like they're leaving this grassy plain and heading up the side of the hill. I can see one a little way across to the right now who's making her way up the hill into the thicket. They might be moving there to carry on feeding on some of the thicker, or maybe rather to browse on some of the trees that are up that side. Got there full of grasses, and now they're moving on to the trees. And as they head north, they're going to start encountering thicker and thicker bush. Gears are on top of the mountains. We have some black rhino that live up there. There are a number of animals that inhabit the mountain areas. I believe there's a klipspringer that's been seen around the top of that mountain in particular that you can see in the background there. We had some mountain reedbuck a while ago, but I haven't seen very many of them recently. There's lots of Ngala up there. The elephant do cross the mountains occasionally, so possible to find elephant on top of the mountains here. I've seen lions up there. Our one pride that lives in the south, the mountain pride. Its name gives it away a little bit, I think. Wildebeest on the left are now chasing each other around. There's maybe a male that's come in, and the dominant male in the herd there is, or in this area, is not having any of it. He's chasing him quite a way off, away from the rest of the herd. I was hoping while we were sitting here that we would hear some more alarm calls from those Ngala that were alarm calling as we arrived, but they seem to have got quiet. So the one animal that we sometimes see here that doesn't seem to be around today is zebra, but it sounds like Andrew's got some of those, so we're going to shoot across to him, and we'll see you a little bit later.
Thanks, Dave. We came far from where we just left these buffaloes, but now we see we got the zebra here mixed up with the impalas. So it's actually a very nice open here for these species to be. Most of the time the zebra, they wouldn't be in the places where it's too thick or not much of the open. But it's so cool that, you know, we have a whole desert around here, whole desert of zebra. And they all love one another. Impalas and them. But we're looking at the plain zebra, the species. I'm just so happy to see them because I haven't seen one for probably, I think, 2 weeks. Where they are very difficult to be found this time of the year. See how they do that, their tails. So they have to swing their tails every now and then because of the whole flies. So plain zebra or virtual zebra, so they have a shadow stripe. There is a black stripe, but in a white there is another very faint stripe that you see as a shadow stripe. Lioness, so you're asking if the zebra have a specific type of grass they like to eat most. So a buffalo grass mixture. What happens with them, they can take any type of grasses, and they would prefer very much top end of grasses. So, but the reason they don't really want to be in the places where it's too thick. They want to in an open area where they can see far enough. And then, of course, if they get in the places where the grass is shorter, they can actually start to feed in that, but they're very good on that. They can start from feeding on the very top end, and then as the grass goes shorter, this is where they live most. Because they don't chew hard, so they free handicap fermentants, which are a single-chambered stomach. Just like horses, a donkey almost, rhinos, elephants, or a pig, or warthogs. But they so cool, we always see them healthy, fit animal, because feeding methods is far different to most other animals. They eat grass. A lot of time they don't actually eat from trees. They don't browse, but they have beautiful, is bottom and top canine, which is it's got a teeth in that. So they were able to manage to bite short grasses even though there's not much around, and they still get them. So I'm gonna check around here, circle around this area here, see what these animals are all about. I'm gonna be sending you over to Tswalu.
Well, on closer investigation, we had to get a bit closer. We drove through another huge swarm. A great question that was asked by Wiley, what do these little things feed on? And on closer investigation, these are actually ants. So what we refer to as alettes, so male and female reproductive individuals, going off, mating and starting new colonies. So insects like this, they would eat plant matter, which would be decaying, or dry plant matter, or cropped plant matter, so grass and leaves. And so thanks to Wiley there, that asked the question, what do they feed on? We actually took a closer look, and they are not a form of fly. Obviously, a fly diptera has a different body shape. Very bulbous abdomen, small thorax, and then a smallish head. You can see that the head and the thorax here are fairly elongated. It's got external moving mouth part, and then that long abdomen. Flies have obviously a different mouth structure in comparison to ants and termites, which fall into the same. Termites that fall into that group, Isoptera. But really remarkable, and such a tiny little creature. So just in comparison, so I'm going to put my thumb here very quickly. Look how tiny this little thing is. It is minute. So thank you, Wiley, for your question. That made me think there, what do they feed on? And I could stand to correction. I think as South Africans we use that terminology, muggy, for everything. Any small little flying little insect is a muggy. But yeah, definitely looks like a form of an ant. See the antennae as well. Busy feeling. So what they would do is obviously mate, and then they would find a suitable site and then bore into the ground, creating a chamber. And from there, reproduction would then kick off, individual laying eggs. And from there, the colony will start off and thrive from that point. And being a reproductive individual and having wings is a very, very important function to get to new locations, to find a suitable mate, utilize different food sources. Wow. Alrighty, so tiny, wow. Well, we have left that beautiful site with the bubbling casinos. We are heading directly due west. And while we do that, we're going to continue seeing what we can pick up. But we're going to send you over to Phinda, and we'll see you when you get back this side.
I don't mean to gloat, but I did call the sunset getting a little bit better over here. And it's turning into an absolute stunning sunset. These clouds are just lighting up. And there are the most amazing colors coming through. We found a journey of giraffe here. They were slowly moving and feeding. And they're just really, I suppose, putting into scale how beautiful the sunset is. There's a couple giraffe that have moved across to our right. There's still some on the left-hand side of the road that are feeding on the top of a little tree that we've got there. But it's really a magical African scene that we've got unfolding in front of us here now. Got red clay soils, green bush. Some African spoonbills are going to fly over us now. It's a little bit high maybe for the camera to reach, but there's a big V triangle of birds flying over. A very magical afternoon and evening here at andBeyond Phinda. These giraffe have just been feeding while we've been watching them. They're nibbling on quite similar to those elephants, all the new green shoots and leaves that are coming out some of the taller trees. And with their long necks, they're really able to reach up high and, for the most part, get to the juicy leaves that other animals can't get to, which is an amazing adaptation that they have developed really long necks to be able to do, which is super cool. And really interesting to watch. They've got a really interesting way of feeding as well. They've got a long tongue, very supple lips that can wrap around the leaves and strip them off without getting too much thorn involved. This little young giraffe here, we were just commenting a little while ago, has got quite a nasty sore on the inside of its front left leg. It's looking very dark at the moment, and if you have a closer look, you can see the wound. You can actually see a little piece of the bone there, I think. Oh, now he's just having a little scratch on that tree. Yeah, you can actually see a bit of the bone coming through there, and I'm not quite sure what might have happened there.
Sorry about that. I don't quite know what happened to Phinda, but we are just admiring this bull. I don't know if it's the same one from earlier. He wasn't headed in this direction earlier, but it could possibly be. Now, I've not had much luck today, I'm afraid. We were with the Talamatis, but no signal. So we had to leave them. They were down the Mulwanini, which is a tricky spot anyway, to be honest, and there was absolutely nowhere else for us to reposition, really. So I checked the hyena den, and all 6 cubbies are out. Yes, June's little one is now partying with the older ones, and no adults. Not a single adult, and all the cubs were out. So, of course, that meant we had to leave, I'm afraid. But we just came onto quarantine to admire this big bull. Now, we may have to go home earlier than the other vehicles. We don't have IR. But we'll do our very, very best. Oh, what do you see up there, Mr. Elephant? Shall we reposition a little bit, Davi? Okay, bear with me. Tell me when? There we go. He's far off in the distance. But I need a good look at that left ear in order to determine if it's the same bull from earlier. The impala is completely unfazed. looks the same size as the one from earlier. One of the reasons we're not finding any marula fruits around. The elephants are getting to those trees before we are. They love marula fruits. They must be so nutritious for them, but not only that, they are extremely tasty. And of course, there's the good old sort of theory that elephants get drunk on marula fruits. And it actually has a really horrible backstory. It was an experiment, and the reason people think this is because the elephant, I believe, was intoxicated with something, but it's not marula fruit. You're not going to see a drunken elephant stumbling across quarantine. And why? Well, basically, elephants don't eat the rotten fruit. They hoover up those marulas long before they get rotten. They really won't just pick up the rotten fruit when it's starting to ferment, i.e. produce alcohol or ethanol. And when the fruit is actually fresh, it's not going to spend long enough in the elephant's stomach to actually start fermenting and start producing alcohol. Fermentation is not a fast process. It's going to just pass right through the elephant's digestive system. And 3, even if the elephant did eat the rotten fruit, let's just say they hoovered up all the rotten fruit, they would need to eat roughly around 1,400 pieces of fruit. Exceptionally fermented fruit, might I add, to get extremely drunk. Now that's a lot of... Oh my goodness. Oh, well, there goes that branch. When you want something, you've just got to get it. So yes, 1,400 pieces of marula fruit that have lain on the ground a long time. They're rotting and they're exceptionally fermented. That's the only thing that would probably start to get an elephant slightly drunk. So lots of people believe in inebriated pachyderms, but I can assure you it's definitely not the case. We do not find drunk elephants out here. It would be rather entertaining if we did. It's such a peaceful scene on quarantine, watching a big gentleman like this. Maybe not so peaceful for that marula tree that just lost a branch, but otherwise peaceful. The impala are not overly thrilled tonight, slightly nervous. And elephants do sleep, but they sleep in short bouts. So that's how it's difficult to ask how often do they sleep, because they can sort of nap, almost like a power nap strategy, but not. So they can sort of rest standing up. A lot of the adults will do that, especially when they've got young offspring that need a little nap on the ground. They will all huddle round and they will also start to rest themselves. When an adult is really tired, you'll find that it does just lie down on the ground anyway. But that's normally when it's part of a herd. And there's other elephants to look out for it. So they just sleep on and off throughout the day. Nowhere near the sort of likes of humans, where we go to bed and we snore for 8 hours more. Not like that. It's a sort of power nap strategy, a high alert one at that. And it's in short bouts all throughout the day and all throughout the night. They sleep more than giraffes do, though. Giraffes are said to be one of these sleepless animals, or mammals at least. They do rest a lot more than giraffes do. What are you going to do with that branch now, sir? I hope you're going to make good use of that. The bull we saw earlier was actually in must. So I think it might have been the one that Andrew saw. Definitely, he was dribbling urine. He was streaming from his temporal glands, and the smell, that must odour, hit us very hard once we went off air. That was an older gentleman earlier. I'm just not sure if it's the same one. Very, very possibly. Many of you are saying he's beautiful. Isn't he just? This entire scene in front of us is very beautiful. He's definitely streaming heavy from his temporal glands, but that doesn't mean he's necessarily in must. You have to look at a few factors to determine that. It's a sort of tar-like substance called temperin that comes out of those glands. It's normally linked to emotional state. I wonder if we can just see if he's dribbling, Davy. I see a wet leg. Yes, I think this is a must bull. Can't smell him from here, it's a little bit too far, but I do think this bull is also in must. But because he's an older bull, and you can tell by his incredible size, you will find that he's a lot more relaxed and he can handle must a lot better than the younger ones. So David and I are just going to sit here a little bit longer and enjoy this moment.
I am David. I come to you live every day from the Mara Triangle all the way in East Africa. My favorite animal in African wilderness is the lion. Lions, here in the African wilderness, I call them kings of the jungle because in general, they are always up there while they control the savannas of Africa.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth. For the month of January 2021, we are offering a chance to win a unique WildEarth expedition to the magnificent Tswalu Kalahari. From the ancient Kortai's Koranenberg Mountains to the southern Kalahari's red sand dunes, Tswalu offers what travelers crave most: space and time. The winner will explore this landscape in a vehicle, on foot, or on horseback, with a chance to go behind the scenes with WildEarth and of course meet the meerkats. The prize includes a 3-night stay for you and a friend at the luxury Motse Lodge, including flights from either Johannesburg or Cape Town. Open to all WildEarth explorers who have signed up before the end of January 2021. Terms and conditions apply.
My name is Ross and I'm a field guide at andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on WildEarth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
andBeyond Ngala. So we have a pack of wild dogs that are trying to lure the wildebeest away because there's some babies amongst them to try and get to the babies. But you can see the wildebeest are actually now chasing these wild dogs. So you can see how the wild dogs are moving around. So earlier on, they were running straight towards us. As you can see, there's a few of or probably a bull that's trying to chase some of these wild dogs away. Now the whole herd, there's quite a few youngsters in the herd, and they've gathered right here in the middle to try and stay away from those wild dogs. You can see how they've cornered that one. Now that wildebeest is too big for those wild dogs to take down. They're not after that big wildebeest. They're actually just after the small calves. But of course these ones are just trying to keep them away. So what we'll try and do is let's get a bit closer to where the wild dogs are, see if we can get a better glimpse of them, but we are still going to keep our space, because the whole thing is now, because they might not go for these wildebeest because they're being chased off, these wild dogs might change direction and start heading away. And if we stay here, we won't be able to see them. I can already see they've started moving, so I'm just going to move here. So the last time I spotted, or we saw these wild dogs, is they were somewhere here. It is starting to get to late in the afternoon where we are losing a bit of light. So we're going to try and see if we can spot them again. I'm just trying to keep a good lookout. Any signs of them. Just this goes, to be honest, I'm not too sure which pack this might be. I haven't gotten a close sight of them. It was only from quite far off. I just want to respond to this one ranger. No, negative. I have no visual at the moment. I'm just checking this area and then looping back towards that open area. So I'm just letting the other rangers know that we can't see the wild dogs at the moment, just so that they can have a look on that side. So there's quite a few hyenas here, and it might be that they are following these wild dogs. So if we stick with the hyena, there's a chance we could see these wild dogs. So they're just in front of us here. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to follow those hyenas, because if we follow them, there's a good chance they're going to lead us back towards the wild dogs. So I'm just going to re-move so we can have a look. Okay, so this one. Let's do Tswalu.
You're using the tactics there to keep up with wildlife. I like the way the guide operates. We are enjoying the setting sun here on the western side of this beautiful and diverse continent. Enjoying the clouds, the sun itself, and then obviously the beautiful topography laid out before us. It's almost like this onset of evening is just on us. Everything's just starting to slow down. The birds are starting to quieten down a bit, and there's just almost like this ebb before the onset of night. I think Craig's going to give us a little more of a view here of what else is going on. We're going to drift over there to the southern side of the Kronenberg range. You'll see how the light is just kissing the top parts of the range itself. I see a lot of faces in the mountains, like the forehead and the nose, the forehead, eyebrow, nose, and lips. Very beautiful. As we say goodbye to the sun for now, it's done a sterling job today. Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, look at the topography on those mountains. That's far, far away. And just look how undulated and how varied that topography is. And to think about animals inhabit those rocky areas. It doesn't look very rocky from this distance, but it is fairly treacherous and unfooting terrain. But also a very important structure here in Tswalu. And something that I just love looking at every day. I look at the mountains, I'm like, I haven't seen that yet. Obviously different light, different color, vegetation grows, it dies. The color changes, it looks brand new every single day. Clouds, no clouds. Yo, look at the swifts in front of us. Craig's just going to punch in. Sorry guys for the quick movement of it. Look at all the swifts feeding on these allets here in front of us. Just watch in the road, you're going to see all these dark-bodied birds just moving very quickly in front of us. Yep, that's it. Yo, look at all of them. So these birds are very agile flying birds, and on the wing they can turn on a dime. So what they're doing now is swooping past at a very, very brisk pace, and they are feeding, airily feeding on these tiny, tiny little insects. Now you've got to think about the precision of that bird in flight to adjust its wings, to adjust its tail feathers, to move it in the correct position that is aligning with a tiny little insect. And now think about its eyesight picking up on that tiny little insect that we showed you earlier. And that's why if you find with these birds, their beaks will be fairly short, but the width, or what they refer to as the gape, of how wide the actual beak can be opened is tremendous. So obviously it's giving the bird a little room for error. But a really remarkable species of bird to see in flight. And catching insects like that is just mind-boggling stuff for me. You can see them moving through the grasslands. I think that was a lark that went down there. And obviously with that rain that we've received now, that's just allowing everything to boom. From these tiny insects to the reptiles, to the mammals, the birds, everything is in a favorable period right now, which is really nice to be here at this point in time. Magic. The vastness of Tswalu is something incredible. I mean, look how far we can see. We have a bok makiri in the distance. Sonia, nice comment there. It doesn't seem like Tswalu is that flat at all. The topography varies. So if you look, we are basically looking west right now, and that section there, further out west, is slightly undulated. That's where we have the dune fields of Tswalu. And then if you go to a bit more the northern sections, you get vast open big plains, and this beautiful mountain range is set basically in the central part of Tswalu going down south. And the topography varies from, so at this point in time exactly, if I look at my radio very quickly, we are sitting at 1,241 meters above sea level. So those mountains, the highest peak, I think, if I remember correctly, goes up to about 1,600, 1,500 meters above sea level. So they're fairly large. I mean, not a mountain in respects to other ranges in South Africa. If you look at Lesotho and other beautiful geological features in South Africa, but they're very beautiful and very, very important for Tswalu, and the diversity that we have here as well. Lovely part of the day. This is where you guys would be sitting with us now, having a G&T or a coffee, and just enjoying the wonders that is at offer. We're going to send you over to Andrew, and we'll see you shortly.
Thanks, Carl. Thank you very much. We're still in the area, but we had no joy yet with our leopards around here. Try, very well to sit around, take very much time to listen if there is going to be any audio or of them, but nothing. So now we started again, but we're using lights right now, this will assist us to spot if there is any reflection far from the road. This is how we'll know. And then so important about that, it's so cool because spotlight can shine through way far away, but you're looking for specific signs of reflection that you know that definitely it's one of the nocturnal. And this is where sometimes they would be out about, started to get mobile and move on if they're still together wherever they are, because the tracks looks like they're two. And then let's just show if they move from the different time, but it looks like they're very much similar in terms of oldest, probably midday or so. So maybe they were together there. So we're gonna check. We won't give up right now yet until we found out what happened. Still a lot of chance for them to be able to move, even though maybe they're separated. But the key is that they got immobile, they have to get moved because they're nocturnal. And to search for their own hunt, killing skill that they got is at night. Where we see them move in the day is because they can. When weathers allow them to do, and they still gain that energy to get on move when it's pouring rain and those type of wind coming through, and they will carry on, push too much on hunting even during the day. But at night they're so important for them. They don't waste much of energy because they don't expose to the prey species. They're not visible enough. So back to the western boundary, in case maybe they turn around back to the east again, because we went further west, almost in the middle of this area. So, but when they're up hunting also, there's not only about hunting on big prey species, only impalas and things, they would eat anything they can. They can eat on scrub hares, sleeping birds at night, pounce on them, get them up. A lot of Egyptian geese also, they've been killed a lot by leopard, were hunted, in these tall grasses. This is what they gain more advantage of, getting close to the prey species, because they ambush and they crawl down, if it's possible, close enough, and they kill by pounce into the animal. Where now it's different to the cheetah, where cheetah they prefer very open because they rely on speed to chase their prey. And their body structures feature is different to the leopard, where cheetah they also have very long legs, long body, slender body, designed for their speed they need to use. So maybe is that the Hukumuri, the male, the track that we saw, or the Tingana, like we mentioned earlier, that there's no tracks of him moving back north, so he's probably still around here, maybe still checking out. So we're gonna continue to do this shining around here. We're gonna be sending you over to Tswalu.
Well, we've just had to change position to get a better view on the scenery going on here, and the sun is somewhat getting up into the clouds business over there, just making this beautiful soft pink color come through, and it is just delicious. I mean, look at that. You can see all those swifts and swallows crossing the screen. A lot of common swifts. There'll also be little swifts over here. And then in the distance, I've seen one or two Bradfield swift, also a very big highlighted bird species for birders coming to Tswalu. I never thought that I'd be so lucky to be able to sit in a place like this and see and enjoy wildlife like this. Bridget, when do we expect to see Tswalu red again? So we are in the rainy period now, so Tswalu's got its beautiful green coat on. And as we start coming into winter, that'll be May, June, July. So at about a month or two before that, we'll start going into a brownish uniform color where you're seeing green right now. And that's when it becomes a little bit drier. This green tinge disappears. And then we start getting to the drier periods before the favorable rains approach us for summer again. So June, July, August, that area is when we get that reddish, full earth splay across Tswalu, when the grass dries back and then the red earth is exposed and easily viewed, unlike now where you have this uniform, dense carpet of beautiful green, lush grass. It is really a beautiful transformation to see Tswalu go through this change, and as well as the Kalahari. It's just so visible. You know, through deciduous forests, you just see a slight change of color. The canopy and other places are uniform, but it is just so prominent, which keeps you entertained throughout the year. Vey, it is very beautiful, and a very beautiful comment from your side. It is just, it's like a movie. It is spectacular to be out here. And you've got the sweet smell of all the grass, the rich earth smell right now. It's fairly cool. All these swifts and swallows are making a very light whoosh sound coming up over us. And then just the scenery is just magic. On the right here, on the right. Look at these allets coming out here. Oh, look at this, folks. We've got the emergence of allets. Look at this. This is from a nest. These are male and female termites coming out, going off to find and establish new colonies. But that is physically where they're coming out from the nest. Look at that. Wow. So this is a very favorable period for these insects to go off and start new colonies. So the females are actually referred to as allets, and then the males are referred to as drones. And these swifts now are going to come in hot to feed on these insects that are emerging. That's why they'll be flying very low to come in and catch these beautiful little insects. And if I've got one here in my hand, if you want to see it very quickly. Just holding it very softly and very carefully because I don't want to hurt it, but we can see it's a little termite. There it is, look at that. Okay, so I don't want to hold it too long. You got it there, Greg? Yeah. All right, and I'm going to let it go so it can go do its thing. There we go. Wow, unbelievable. So that was a short burst, and I mean, it's slowed down now. The volume isn't as much as when we first saw it there.
Thanks, Carl. So we still continue on our search here with our spotlight shining around. We haven't come across anything yet with our leopard or any of the nocturnal animal that now we can see, but it's a chance, they're around. Just need to take a look around very much well and then drive slowly. That's how we scan around, because then it's different to in the midday where there's a full rise over here. And then now we rely on the lights. We need to look carefully as we drive that we don't miss so much. So many of a nocturnal that move at night is not all about that they maybe like it so much. It's because of other temperatures. Some of them, they don't want to be spotted during the day. That's what provides well camouflage at night. They're able to move around. So the only thing that is different, the animal that moves at night, they don't care about getting spotted or seen, but the nocturnals, specifically leopards, and they're all the several caracal, those, even the lions, when they move at night, it's all about they will blend in, or they don't want to expose, they don't want to be seen so much, they don't want to come out to the open area. So this is what they loves about. So everybody will coming in the end of a show this evening. We will till we meet again tomorrow.
Okay, so those are not allets. We just have the correct position now where we have a lighter background. Those are all swifts in flight, busy feeding off these allets that are emerging from underground systems at the moment. And look at the vast amount of those birds. That is just too cool for school. And they're utilizing the dune, so they're flying across the dune, and they're just coming low enough to whip through that dune section, feeding off these tiny little insects. And they are jammed full of protein, so a really good feed for these aerial birds. Sure, there's a lot of them. Very remarkable birds. They do almost everything on the wing. The only time that they come down is to physically lay eggs. They mate on the wing, they snooze on the wing, they socialize on the wing. Really remarkable to be in flight like that all the time. Wow. There's so many. So it shows you now the importance of termites, just the termites themselves, how important of a food source these little tiny insects are. Termites and ants are basically the foundation of driving most systems. If you think about the food source and the food chain, very, very important. But then also if you think about movement of material and movement of energy, these insects transport trillions of tons of energy from one ecosystem to another. And obviously they are an integral part of the food web and food chain. Wonderful. What an amazing day it has been, folks. To enjoy this all with you guys. So say thank you very much for all the questions and comments and being with us. All my colleagues across the board for their efforts and what they did. From Tswalu and from us, we're going to say good night, farewell, and see you tomorrow.
program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning.